Great. So welcome everybody to today's training session and AI Hackathon learning session. So I'm going to go through the agenda in English and then Jose will go through it in Spanish. But in this session, you'll get a detailed insight into our team, who we are, why to join the UiPath and Greenlight Consulting AI Hackathon, how to enroll in the Costa Rica Hackathon. We're going to be doing a RPA 101 introduction and training, and then we will do a UiPath platform tour talking about the various products and components. And then we'll do a QA about the RPA training. And at that point, we'll stop for those who, just came here for the training if they don't want to go further. The second part of the program will be for hackathon details. What are the timelines, who can participate, how to register, and so forth. So, Jose, if you want to translate that, I'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Diana. Bueno, acá lo que vamos a compartir en esta sesión, más que todo una pequeña introducción para que conozcan quiénes están detrás de la organización, del equipo, del lado de Greenlight, del lado de UiPath Community. También vamos a hablar un poquito del por qué este hackathon, por qué la importancia del mismo, cómo unirse propiamente al hackathon, que ahí en el chat les habían puesto un link. Es muy importante que se puedan unir. Va a ser una experiencia muy interesante, muy bonita. Vamos a hablar propiamente de lo que es RPA, la introducción y el training como tal. Van a hablar un poco del producto, de la plataforma, cómo utilizarla. Pues aquí van a conocer parte del equipo que les va a ayudar en esta parte. También va a haber una parte de preguntas y respuestas. Y la otra parte de la sesión, está dividida en dos partes, va a ser más que todo detalles del hackathon, acerca de los tipos de entrega, cómo participar, quién puede participar, cómo registrarse, cuáles van a ser las categorías del hackathon, las reglas que los jueces van a utilizar para evaluar sus proyectos y los tiempos también para poder entregar los mismos, así como los premios y demás, ¿verdad? Entonces, eso sería lo que vamos viendo para el día de hoy.
So next I want to introduce the team. We have, I'd like to just thank Greenlight Consulting for partnering with us, as well as Cindy and Universidad Centfotec. I'd just like to start with Cindy to begin with. Priscilla and Natalia are not on the slide, but they've been a huge part of this program. So Priscilla Quintero and Natalia Carvaja, we just really appreciate all that you've done. We also appreciate Universidad Centfotec for hosting the event for us in Costa Rica. And then I'd like to thank Melanie and Lewis and Vidal, Houtleen, and Hudson for joining this call. They're from the Greenlight Consulting team, and they will be working with you down in Costa Rica. And then on our team, we have myself, I'm Diana Gray, the Community Marketing Manager, Priya, who's going to be going through the RPA training, and she's one of our MVPs, and then Sebastian, Jose, and Jeremy. So there's a lot of people to know, but we will provide these slides to you so that you can get to know everybody. So the next slide is really about why you should join the RPA Hackathon. And we really encourage you guys to do this, even if you're new to doing a hackathon, because we have a great team to support you. And we really believe that if you do this hackathon, it's a great way to learn, to have fun. It looks great on your resume, and we're here to help you. So I just want, Jose, if you would translate this. And then in the chat, I've put the URL to enroll in the hackathon. If people have not done that, we can give them a few minutes to do that.
Sí, como les comentaba antes, es súper importante que se puedan unir a este enlace que está en el chat, que es el del propiamente del hackathon. Ahí Priscila lo acaba de compartir. Esta es una excelente oportunidad para que lo que estamos aprendiendo poderlo poner a práctica, ¿verdad? Muchas veces cuando solo nos quedamos con la teoría, realmente una muy buena forma de aprender es ya cuando nos toca propiamente a nosotros, ¿verdad? Hacer la implementación como tal. Entonces, esta experiencia va a ser importantísima para ustedes, va a ser genial para sus currículos y adicionalmente, pues, se van a divertir bastante y no van a estar solos, siempre van a tener un acompañamiento de parte de nosotros en el cual que si tienen alguna duda, si quedaron con algún impedimento para seguir avanzando, pues acá la idea es poderles colaborar, darles asistencia y que puedan continuar, ¿verdad? Que eso no sea como un impedimento para ya no completar sus proyectos. ¿Verdad? You can continue, Diana.
Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to start with the RPA training. But before we do that, I wanted to find out, Lewis, would you go through these first two slides?
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
we'll turn it over to Priya.
Perfect. So this is just these couple slides are just to talk about what RPA actually is, and then some of the products that come with UiPath and how you might be able to use them. So at a high level, what RPA actually is, it's just the idea of using robots or sort of software robots to be able to do the same sort of processes that you as a person are able to do. Anything that you can do on the computer today, which is done with a mouse and a keyboard, the robots are able to also perform those same types of actions. They can also do some additional things that maybe we as humans find a little bit harder to be able to do. They can do them a lot faster with the computers. And then they can also take advantage of some of the advanced capabilities such as machine learning or our artificial intelligence software that can help them with reading human text and human language. So this big idea is that it takes these sort of tasks that you might do on a day-to-day basis, allows you to automate them, and that could be across multiple different systems. There's different applications. Could be multiple web applications or websites that you go to. Could be a desktop app. It doesn't matter to it. It's going to be able to automate that for you. The goal of RPA, it's really to replace that sort of repetitive task that we as people do today. They're not always fun tasks that we have to do. You get into your, whether it be at school, maybe if you're in an office or something, you have to go and open up Excel files or Word documents and do the same things over and over again that aren't really that engaging. So if we can pass those off to the robots, that then opens it up and allows you to then, as a person, to be able to use your skills that you've gone to school for and actually apply them to things that make sense. So where humans excel, being that sort of judgment and making those human decisions, bots maybe aren't necessarily great at that. People are. So let's free people up to be able to do that instead. So that's sort of the focus of what RPA is. It's really about freeing people, letting the robots take on that mundane, tedious work, and being able to make it so that we can just kind of continue to grow and expand what we as people like to do. There's a couple links in here. We'll put these links into the chat as well. These are just some videos that you can go and take a look at just to see some of the ways that automation can work. Some of these ones that you're going to see, they're a little bit advanced in what it can do. This is just really kind of help you see, hey, here are some of the more in-depth things that it is able to accomplish. But there's, of course, all the stuff in behind it that's, very simple, such as like click on this button, type into this text box that the robots are able to do as well. Okay. And then just talking about a little bit about the products that you'll probably be using in the hackathon here. So this is just a list of all the different UiPath products that you'll have available to you. The main ones being, of course, that you're going to have the studio where you're going to be building your automations. And then there's everything around that sort of helps keep everything together. So you have your orchestrator to manage your robots. You have your assistant to run off your desktop. And then you have all these additional services, such as the integration service, document understanding, AI center. These are all things that are going to help you with being able to do some of the advanced capabilities that the software is able to actually do. And we're going to go through, Priya is going to be showcasing a lot of these, how these all work, what they're actually able to do for you, when you would use them. And then we'll also be having some office hours that are open and available. So if you do have a question during the hackathon time, you'll be able to come in, ask some of those questions, get some hands-on help, and we'll help you kind of get some of those, so get you to where you need to be and help understand what's actually what the process and solutions are doing. With all of these, UiPath does have a online academy as well. So it's called UiPath Academy. It's completely free. You just go on there, you register, and you can access training for every single one of the UiPath products so that it'll help you get a little bit more familiar with it and be able to utilize it. I think that touches everything on that. I don't know if we want either Josue or Sebastian, if you guys wanted to maybe just give a brief overview of what we talked about there.
Zoe, do you want to do that?
Yeah, for sure. Bueno, básicamente acá podemos ver una serie de productos que vamos a poder utilizar, desde el orquestador para gestionar nuestros robots, el estudio con toda su familia, que va a ser el estudio X y el estudio, una versión web. El estudio más que todo es donde básicamente desarrollamos los robots, donde tenemos nuestro código. También la parte del Assistant, que viene con, funciona como un asistente en nuestros procesos de automatización. La parte de UiPath Apps, que básicamente nos va a permitir crear aplicaciones de manera low code, poquito código. Y también otras tecnologías súper interesantes que tiene UiPath en sus diferentes productos, como para clasificación inteligente de documentos, extracción de documentos como tales, también cosas relacionadas a métricas, podemos ver cosas relacionadas a testing, data services, donde podemos tener colecciones de datos, y en realidad, pues, es muchísimo las tecnologías y productos que podemos tener acceso, que podemos utilizar, y uniendo todo esto podemos también tener soluciones bastante integrales y llegar así a completar cosas increíbles. También muy importante, por ejemplo, si quiero profundizar algún área como tal, que haga un training completo donde le enseñen desde cero y realmente totalmente gratuito, pueden utilizar el UiPath Academy, que ahorita, si no, lo pongo por ahí en el chat. Se pueden registrar y todos los cursos gratuitos de todos los temas, ahí Sebastián lo acaba de compartir, todos los cursos gratuitos de todas estas tecnologías, si quieren empezar desde todo el desarrollo o productos específicos, ahí lo pueden encontrar. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's a question on the chat that I would like to address. Creo que hay una pregunta que dice Lucía, hablar de qué es RPA. RPA, creo que Lewis lo explicó en inglés, pero yo se lo repito, es una tecnología que básicamente lo que permite es simular lo que nosotros, los seres humanos, vemos detrás de una computadora. Entonces, esto se usa mucho para tareas repetitivas, como por ejemplo entrar a una página web, loguearse en esa página, descargar un reporte, tal vez hacer algún tipo de manipulación dentro de ese reporte y después mandar un correo electrónico con el reporte. Eso es un caso de uso que UiPath o RPA es muy bueno resolviendo. Entonces, RPA significa automatización robótica de procesos o Robotic Process Automation y permite emular aquellas actividades que hacemos los seres humanos detrás de una computadora. Espero haberte contestado con eso, Lucía. Yeah, Diana, you're good to continue.
Okay, great. So, So now we're going to stop a little bit for the RPA training session. So Sebastian, do you want to introduce Priya? And Priya, I'll let you pull up your slides.
Sí, claro. Ahora con nosotros va a presentarnos un training de RPA. Vamos a ver un demo ya más propiamente viendo la herramienta. Y esto lo va a hacer Priya. Priya es una de las MVPs de UiPath. MVP es Most Valuable Professional y es un reconocimiento que obtienen aquellos participantes o promotores de UiPath que ayudan a promover el uso de esta herramienta. Entonces, si tienen alguna duda, por favor lo ponen en el chat y los dejo con Priya. Priya, you can go.
Yeah, hi. I'm just having a slight technical difficulty with sharing my screen, so just give me 1 second. I'm about to try to share my screen. Hope you guys can see it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All question in every Zoom meeting that you have to ask. Okay, thank you so much, Sebastian. I'm sorry about the issue that I was having, but hola everybody. Thank you so much for having us here, and thank you so much for yourself for taking the time to actually study and learn about RPA. You know, this is a good stepping stone to start your automation journey, because like RPA is one of the first steps that you need to learn in order to be able to transition over to AI. And now there's a wave of Gen AI going on. So like you can definitely hop on this artificial intelligence journey if you can learn RPA as well. So this is going to be a great skill to have as a trick. If you're gonna find a new job, or if you're trying to find an internship, this is a great skill. So let's get started with this one. So as I said, I'm Priyadarshini Estevez. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm also a UiPath MVP. So we've been doing RPA for about 7 years now. So RPA has evolved a lot over the years, which is what you're gonna learn how to use RPA in your hackathon for this one. Oops. So here's the learning objective for today. We're just going to go over what is RPA and what RPA is not. And I think Luis and Josue and Sebastian also went through a little bit of the benefits of using RPA. So I'll again go ahead and cover that as well. And I'll show you the layout of a UiPath platform, because it's a wide variety of products that are available. Since it's a lot of products, we want to get you started first. So we're going to show you what are the core components that are available and help you set up with your environment and show you a demo as well. So let me get this out of the way. Hope you can see my screen. Okay. So what is robotic process automation? So this is a software technology that basically mimics the human actions. All of us on a day-to-day basis, we interact with our computers. And the way that we interact is using the keyboard inputs, the mouse movements, and reading the computer screen. So these are the common tasks that we do on an everyday basis, regardless of whether you're studying or working. And in whatever domain that you're working in, you're pretty much going to be using your computer for all of these actions. Imagine some of these tasks that you're doing are repetitive on a daily basis. Let's say run a report every day for 20 minutes. And that's a mandatory task that you have to do every day. In that case, you can actually automate that task and give that to the RPA robot to be able to do that task for you. So that way you can save that time and use your cognizant abilities to use that time valuably in a higher valued areas. So any questions with RPA, Sebastian?
Yeah, let me just help everyone here to there are some doubts. Sí, Priya, lo que acaba de explicar es sobre qué es RPA, haciendo alusión a la pregunta que también hacía Lucía anteriormente. Y como les comentaba, RPA significa Robotic Process Automation o automatización robótica de procesos en español. ¿Qué hacen los robots? Básicamente, aquí en los slides podemos ver, hacen los comandos que haríamos detrás de un teclado, como por ejemplo escribir información. También pueden emular aquellos movimientos que hacemos con el mouse, hacer clics en pantallas en diferentes aplicaciones y leer los elementos que hay en una pantalla. Entonces, por ejemplo, si vemos una página web, UiPath puede saber esto es un botón, o puede saber esto es un diálogo de texto, o es una caja para ingresar texto. Ese tipo de tareas, o RPA puede reconocer todos esos elementos y con esto automatizar muchos de los procesos que se realizan, ya sea detrás de una computadora, en una oficina, en un colegio, en actividades profesionales y también hasta para juegos. Algunas veces he visto demos donde las personas automatizan partes de un juego que es bastante repetitivo. Entonces, los casos de uso para utilizar API son bien extensos y ahorita vamos a ver un poco más de ellos. Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Sebastian. So we are also going to learn what RPA is not, because there are lots of myths around robotic process automation. So the first word, when you hear the robotic, the people think of like a humanoid robot, like that's like a physical thing that's right next to you doing the job for you. So first we need to clarify that RPA is a software technology. So it's going to be a software technology that's going to be on your computer or on a server or elsewhere. But it is not in a physical form. So it's not a humanoid and it is not a human replacement. So there is a lot of fear around RPA that it's going to replace people's jobs. So that is not the case. RPA is only an assistant to enable the humans to be able to do high value jobs. So that way, like the people can actually focus on areas that needs the human attention so that the robots can take care of the mundane task. And RPA, like when larger companies look at RPA, they shouldn't be looking at it as a cost-saving method. So RPA is not a cost-saving method. So Sebastian?
Sorry, Priya, I was distracted with the chat. There's some very good questions.
Oh.
Sí, y Priya lo que dice es que RPA no viene a sustituir al ser humano, viene a complementarlo. Y básicamente lo que queremos es sacar el robot del ser humano, poder sacar esas actividades que son muchas veces repetitivas, que tal vez no necesitan mucho pensamiento, sino más son clics, copiar de un lado a otro. Eso es lo que busca RPA, poder sacar esas actividades repetitivas y permitir que el ser humano se enfoque en tareas de mayor demanda cognitiva, de pensamiento, y ese tipo de actividades. Y por supuesto también no es solamente RPA no es solamente para reducir costos, es para poder crear nuevas formas de trabajo donde las podamos ser más productivos y poder completar tareas de mayor valor agregado.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Yeah.
So in order to be using RPA, and like you obviously get a ton of benefits. So let's see a few of them. Using RPA, most of the businesses, once they adopt, they see that there is an increased execution speed. So when you are typing, you can be fast, but you can never beat a robot. So when the robot's typing, it's always fast. So that's why there is like an increased execution speed in terms of like completing a process. And robots are not going to make mistakes because the robots are going to do exactly how you program them to be. So whatever values that you specify, whatever like configurations that you give, that is how accurate that your robot is going to perform. And for many organizations, compliance is a big task. So robots help like improve that regulatory compliance. And it also helps in the cost reduction of a process. So that way the mundane tasks are taken out of the people and it reduces the task or the mundane activities that are being given to the humans and gives them that time back so that they can like focus on other areas. And it's very easy to scale with these robots, that once you start building a process, you can easily like apply other technologies or even take your robots and like span them to like a larger group of organization.
Sí, y Priya lo que acaba de ayudarnos a explicar es sobre los beneficios de RPA. Varios de los beneficios, o uno de ellos es aumentar la velocidad de ejecución. Los seres humanos difícilmente vamos a poder superar la velocidad con la que los robots hacen las tareas. Entonces, uno de los beneficios. El otro es aumentar el accuracy o la certeza o la calidad de los datos que ingresamos. Porque los robots, ¿verdad? Tal vez nosotros cuando ingresamos un dato podemos poner un cero de más y cometer un error. Pero los robots van a ingresar información tal cual la recibieron. Entonces eso ayuda a disminuir el tipo de errores de precisión. Muchas veces también los robots nos ayudan a mejorar en temas regulatorios, debido a que los robots podemos saber qué fue lo que el robot hizo, podemos saber de dónde a dónde llegó su actividad y poder regular eso, inclusive auditar qué es lo que el robot está haciendo. Por supuesto, reducir costos es algo que se dan cuando usamos RPA, por las razones que anteriormente explicamos, y la facilidad con la que esto se puede escalar. Tener robots ejecutando es muy fácil de pasar un robot a tener 100 robots, a hacer una actividad. Entonces, permite también aumentar mucho la capacidad de ejecución de las empresas o de lo que necesitamos que el robot automatice.
Okay, so here are some of the tasks that you can automate. So this is a little example of for you to look around your everyday work. So on a day-to-day basis, we all perform certain tasks. So take a look at your day-to-day use cases and see if you are like repetitively logging into certain applications or moving files and folders or writing to databases, opening email attachments, uploading to a system, let's say like Salesforce, SAP, any of those like larger applications or the HRIS or the ticketing systems like ServiceNow, Jira. If you're using any of those tools, you can easily automate like in multiple different ways. So if your system allows to do like UI based access, then you can easily like replicate whatever that you are doing into the automation. Or you can also use the system's APIs to access these ServiceNow or Jira or Workday or any of these using the integration services and access the systems. And another use case would be like to make certain calculations. And if we all have like, you know, started this automation journey early on, there were like a lot of us writing like scripts, and most of the scripts like kind of like limit us to a specific application. You can only do it with one. But with RPA, with UiPath, what you could do is you can automate with multiple different systems. So in the same automation, you can log into like one system, let's say like Amazon. You can extract like all the information and get that into an Excel and then email it to somebody using your Gmail or Outlook. So in this case, you're using like multiple different tools where you're using your browser for the Amazon and you're using your Outlook for emails and you're using like Excel to be putting your data in. So this way you can access like multiple different systems. So just look around you and see what are the tasks that gives you the largest pain points, because most of us have trouble in identifying those processes. But if you like take a step back and look at your day-to-day activities, you will find like tons of use cases that you will want to automate. And once you start using RPA, I will promise you that like with your first automation, once you get the taste of RPA, you would love to do like multiple RPA there, multiple robots there.
Thank you, Priya. Y Priya lo que nos acaba de comentar es básicamente que son casos de uso que lo podemos dar a robots. Aquí en la pantalla tenemos algunos. Ingresar en aplicaciones, mover files de un lugar a otro, de folder a folder, tal vez escribir o leer información de una base de datos, extraer datos de una página web, conectarnos a APIs, o poder, creo que por ahí también hacían preguntas en el chat, extraer información de documentos como PDFs, emails o algún tipo de formato digital. También los robots son muy buenos abriendo y cerrando, abriendo y leyendo los datos adjuntos o archivos adjuntos que vienen de un correo. Y también para hacer calculations, hacer cálculos, ¿verdad? Algo que contaba Priya es que a mí me pasó personalmente que cuando creé mi primer robot fue algo mágico. Que una vez que creé el primero, quería crear el segundo, el tercero, y es una tecnología que cuando uno hace su primer robot o su primera solución, uno empieza a verdaderamente capturar cuál es el poder de esto y todo lo que se puede llegar a hacer. Yeah, Priya, you're good to continue.
Sebastian. So now that you know like what RPA is and what are the tasks that you could automate, let's give you an idea of like what UiPath platform offers. Sorry. It's skipping along. Okay, so with UiPath platform, we saw on the slide with Luis was presenting that there are like a lot of products that UiPath offers for every certain area. So you have products for AI, the document understanding, but in order to start our automation journey, let's start with 3 basic products, okay? So the first we are going to talk about is the studio. The studio is the area, it's your canvas where you design your automations. That is where you're going to build your automations workflows visually so that you use minimal code. And Studio comes in a lot of flavors. We'll talk about that in just a second. So just remember, Studio is your integrated development environment that you will be using as your canvas to build your robots. Okay, so Studio is going to be your place to start to design your robots. And secondly, we want to know about the orchestrator. The orchestrator is provided by UiPath. It's another service where you can control and manage your robots. So think of your orchestrator as like your central control system. So that orchestrator is going to have all the configurations for your robots. You can put password, all of that is going to be saved within that orchestrator. You can set like triggers to say like, I want my robot to run in this schedule. All of that can be set within the orchestrator. And third, we want to know about the robots, because the robots are the executors that are going to be running your workflows that you have built. So within like Studio, whatever that you have built, those are like workflows that gets packaged and sent to the robot, and the robot executes it with the help of orchestrator, because the orchestrator is going to give you the configurations and the schedule as well.
Hey, Priya, we have a question in the chat. Luis Maroto is asking about that. Are RPA efficient working with the dynamic web pages?
Yes. So, Luis, yes, I want to say yes, because like if you have dynamic web pages that are changing constantly, it depends on like what controls that you want to use. So again, like think of this situation, like you have to identify what that process is. So if you're using dynamic web pages, what is your automation going to do in that web page? So if you want to like, let's say, extract some information, you can still do that. If you want to interact with like writing like text box, like input clicks, all of that is possible. Did that answer your question, Luis?
Yes, Priya, and also I have a question. For instance, if I need to design a robot using conditionals and interacting at the same time with dynamic web pages, so is it possible to include that kind of rules or conditional rules into the design, into the robot in Studio?
Absolutely. So your studio is going to be the area where you put those conditions to say, like, let's say if it is number 1, I want you to go to this web page. If it is number 2, let's say I want to do this. If it is number 3, I want you to do nothing, let's say. So if those kinds of conditions are like something that you're looking for, in Studio, there are something called as control flows. So along the way, I will show you like the academy. In the academy, there are courses for the conditional flows as well. So they will show you there are like if else activities, there are switch case activities. So every conditions that we use, so everything that is within Studio is called activities. So for the conditions, there are number of like activities that are available that you could use. So you can use like if else, or like even if you want a loop, you can still use like for each loop, or like conditional loops like do while and while. So all of that is available within the Studio. And I will definitely recommend you taking the Academy course and practice those conditions as well.
Okay, thank you. And also I have another question. For instance, how is the way to program that kind of rules is similar like develop state machines? For instance, there is an input condition and output, because I have never worked with the UiPath Studio. So this is my first time. I hope I will do my best in the hackathon.
I wish you the best, Luis. And like you're really
Thank
nice
you.
to talk about the state machines. So I will say like UiPath offers like the state machines as well. They have like a robotic enterprise framework, I would say like that will go to the advanced level. But if you're starting as a beginner, I would say like use like the basic conditional ones to see if that fits your need. So you'll have to take a look at like what your process needs and then like design it based on that. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so yes, state machines are available as well. So if you really want to use it, I will say like my very good suggestion will be to take a look at robotic enterprise framework. So in Studio, there is a template that is called that you can use it.
All right, thank you.
Priya, I will do a brief summary about this in Spanish
Sure.
to the team. Pero básicamente aquí lo que Priya nos comentaba es de los tres grandes componentes que tiene UiPath en su plataforma, donde les había comentado que Studio propiamente es para desarrollar nuestro código, que en realidad lo que se llama en UiPath es workflows, ¿verdad? De trabajo. Pueden ser secuencias también, workflows, pero ahí básicamente es una plataforma basada en Visual Basic, en C#, podemos especificar un poquito el qué queremos utilizar y es muy amigable con los usuarios porque realmente no tenemos que escribir todo nuestro código, ya tenemos actividades precargadas que nada más hacemos un tipo de drag and drop y configuramos. Por supuesto que podemos hacer código personalizado, que podemos hacer expresiones de programación como tales, pero Studio va a ser la herramienta propiamente para trabajar, crear nuestro código como tal, que la automatización, ¿verdad? El orquestador nos va a ayudar a gestionar, controlar nuestros robots y también a monitorear. El robot corrió correctamente, el robot no, por así decirlo, falló, cuáles son los resultados. Podemos ver también, tener configuraciones. Por ejemplo, en desarrollo podemos que tengamos un URL para un sitio web, pero en producción sea otro. En vez de tener dos códigos o tener que ir a cambiar el código, podemos configurar en el orchestrator, este es el URL de producción y va a ser como una parte de las configuraciones que podemos hacer, ¿verdad? O gestionar nuestras credenciales, por ejemplo, si el bot tiene que escribir usuario, contraseña, todo eso lo podemos gestionar en el orchestrator y además un sistema de queues en el cual podemos tener nuestros datos, el robot toma nuestras transacciones, las empieza a procesar y llevar un control de las transacciones como tales. Y finalmente tenemos nuestro ejecutor, que va a ser el robot, que básicamente se va a encargar de conectarse con el orquestador y ejecutar lo que tenemos en el estudio. Prácticamente en el estudio hacemos por así decirlo, un deployment, publicamos un paquete, el paquete se encuentra en el orchestrator y podemos tener la conexión del orchestrator a nuestro robot y en el orchestrator invocar al robot que va a ejecutar nuestro paquete. Y ese es como el flujo general. Y adicionalmente, Luis preguntaba un poco si RPA funciona con páginas dinámicas y la respuesta es sí. Inclusive hay una parte de selectores o identificadores, ¿verdad? Que esos identificadores es para poder propiamente identificar elementos en las pantallas y podemos hacer elementos dinámicos, utilizar lo que llaman wildcards y demás para hacer el bot flexible para si el tipo de dato cambia, por si el texto cambia, ¿verdad? Usualmente está en las mismas posiciones, pero lo que cambia es el texto, poder interactuar propiamente con el sitio web de manera correcta. Priya, yeah, you can continue.
Okay. Perfect. So the next thing that we want to, now that you know all the three components of UiPath platform, I told you that you want to start with the studio, right? Now, let's say that the studio, like you need to understand what the studio offers. So the studio comes in three flavors, okay? Within UiPath, you have like three options to choose which studio you want to use, okay? So the first studio that I'm going to show you is the Studio Web. The Studio Web is a newer product that has been recently released, and that Studio Web is going to be available on your browser. Okay, so you can use that Studio Web for your web-based automations. Okay, and this is gonna like help you build automations like for cross-platform automations. And when I say cross-platform, it even works on a Mac machine, and I tested that. I can vouch for that, that one Studio Web is really helpful in terms of building any kind of web-based automations. But if I want to do like more like native applications or desktop applications, then I will use the Studio X. Okay, let's say like if I want to use the calculator or like an install like any kind of like application that gets installed as an exe on your machine, those applications if you want to access, then you would go for Studio X. And Studio X is a great tool for like citizen developers within an organization who may not have like a lot of like coding knowledge. So you don't have to have like a really like a intense like technological expertise to be using like Studio X or even Studio Web for that matter. So it's a lot easier to use all of these. And they come with like default templates that you can choose from as your base to build on top of it. And you can customize it on the go. Okay. And if you want to build like complex solutions and that involves like multiple different UI and you have to like add additional code and you want like extensive debugging tools to say like I want to troubleshoot my automation extensively, then you would want to go for Studio. Okay. So Studio, the regular Studio is something that will be installed on your machine where you can like use it as like your as an application on your machine. And that Studio is also going to have the other profile, which is the Studio X, which will also help you to like automate any online applications and the native desktop applications. Okay. And remember, Studio Web is primarily for web-based automations. And Studio Web offers you like an easy access to the integration services. And if you are going to sign up to the Automation Cloud portal, you will get access to this. In the next slide, I'm going to show you how to sign up.
Y lo que nos contaba Priya es, tenemos tres sabores de estudio. Tenemos Studio Web. Studio Web es diseñado principalmente para poder hacer automatizaciones web-based o basadas en páginas web o elementos que estén hosteados o elementos en la nube. Lo que permite es que no tengas que instalar ningún tipo de software en tu computadora y puedes accesarlo desde la página web. Studio X es otro de los sabores y se recomienda para automatizar tareas. Este sí tiene un componente que tiene que ser instalado en la computadora y te permite interactuar también con softwares que estén localmente en tu computadora. Una de las grandes diferencias que tiene Studio X con Studio es que Studio X está más dirigido para aquellos programas o personas que no tengan tanta experiencia programando, que sea su primera interacción con el mundo de la automatización, porque hace muy fácil poder crear automatizaciones muy rápidas, poderosas, pero sin necesidad de tener alta complejidad. En el caso de Studio, que es el último de los productos que vemos a la derecha, este te permite automatizar más que tareas, procesos que llevan más complejos, cuando lleva una lógica más compleja, que se necesita automatizar diferentes flujos de trabajo, diferentes tareas. También es un componente que se instala en la computadora y permite interactuar con aplicaciones que estén en la computadora. Otro de los grandes factores o diferenciadores de Studio es que te permite hacer un mayor manejo de errores y poder identificar qué es lo que está pasando en la automatización en caso de que esto falle.
Thank you, Sebastian. So now we will help you with the environment setup, how to get access to all of the products that we have talked about, right? So UiPath gets you to sign up to this one account. So if you go to this link, the cloud.uipath.com, all you have to do is like sign up in one place. And that is going to be a single sign-on that will give you access to the academy that we talked about, where like you can learn. And it also gives you access to all these products. So let's start with this one. So let's go to this cloud.uipath.com. Just a second. Oops. So what we want to do is I'm just going to sign out for a second so that I can show you. So if you go to cloud.uipath.com, this will probably be your first page. So as you can see, it gives you like multiple different login options. And I use my Google account, so I will say continue with Google. But if you have like your organizations, if you're working in a company and your company already has like UiPath, you can do that. Or if you want to use your Microsoft account or your LinkedIn, you can still do that. All of this will use your account credentials to be able to log in, okay? Or if you still want to go ahead and sign up with your username and password, you can still do that as well. Sebastian, do we want to go over this?
Sure. Yes, Priya. Ahorita lo que está haciendo Priya nos está ayudando a cómo podemos crear una cuenta. Por ahí en el chat les compartimos el link, pero aquí Priya lo que está haciendo es básicamente entrando ese link y creando una cuenta para poder accesar a los recursos. Yeah, you can continue, Priya.
Thank you. So now I will use my account. And when you sign up for the first time, it's going to ask you to give me an organization name. And that is a name that you just give for your cloud portal. I gave as like my name, Priya Esteves. So that is the name of my account. And it just takes like just a minute or two to get you to this landing page. Usually this is your home screen where you will already have like a default tenant and like you will have all of this. So the very first thing is like if you don't have an orchestrated service, you can just create a default tenant and you will have it. And here on the right side, you can see that you have a download button. That download button is going to help you get the access to Studio. So we talked about 3 studio types, right? So the Studio Web, which is on the portal, and then the other 2 studios, which is the Studio X and the Studio, you can get it using this download button. So if you just click on download, it's going to download it to your machine and it just takes like 5 minutes to run through the installation process and you will have it. Once you install the Studio, you will get the robot also installed. So when I install the Studio, I also get access to the UiPath Assistant. So the robot is called the UiPath Assistant. Okay. And if I see on this side, you see this S symbol. This is my Studio Web. So if I click on this, it gives me an option to say like, okay, if I haven't created my first project, it gives me like tons of like these templates, which I can choose to say like, if this is what I want to automate. So if you have a use case, you can come and look here. What is the thing that you want to automate? And if these templates are not something that fits your need currently, you can go to projects and you can always create a new project like which I did. And that's one of these projects that I have created. I can quickly show you this demo. I know like we have a demo slide, but we'll just quickly go through this. But so far, any questions with the signing up? Like, did anybody have any challenges just getting to this cloud portal so far? When I say cloud portal, it's still here. Like you have to have at least this landing page. If you don't have like this, please post on the chat and one of our team members can actually help you out. And please don't feel shy. Ask any questions that you may have, and no question is a silly question.
Sí, gracias, Priya. Thank you, Priya. Y básicamente lo que Priya nos acaba de hablar es cómo creamos esa cuenta y al ingresar acá nos va a pedir que cree una organización. A Priya, en su caso, ya ella tenía una organización, pero creo que hay una pregunta en el chat que posteó Sharon. Esa es la pantalla de crear la organización. Entonces, simplemente cuando lleguen a esa pantalla le dan Create Organization y ya deberían poder ver lo que Priya está viendo en pantalla. Ahí, como les comentábamos anteriormente, bueno, antes de pasar ahí, ¿alguien tiene alguna duda o pregunta o tuvo alguna dificultad para llegar a esta pantalla? Sin ningún tipo de vergüenza nos pueden decir y pues, podemos ayudar, o también como hizo Sharon pueden poner ahí en el chat la pregunta. Lo que Priya nos estaba también comentando es que aquí podemos accesar a los servicios o los estudios que les comentábamos. En la parte derecha pueden descargar, gracias Priya, pueden descargar el estudio X o el estudio, que les comentaba que eso tiene un componente de instalación. Entonces aquí lo pueden descargar e instalarlo en su computadora Y eso también nos va a descargar el UiPath Assistant, que es ese robotcito que les va a ayudar a ejecutar las automatizaciones que ustedes están creando. Y si quieren utilizar el estudio web, eso lo pueden encontrar en el lado izquierdo, donde hay como una S, eso mismo que Priya está indicando en pantalla. También pueden usar el Studio Web. ¿Cuál es la diferencia? Como les comentaba, Studio Web es más diseñado para automatizaciones que vayan a hacer sobre elementos web, básicamente automatizaciones web-based o basadas en la web, y el otro es para más automatizaciones basadas en aplicaciones locales. ¿No tienen alguna duda o pregunta sobre cómo llegar a esta pantalla? Okay, I think we're good.
Priya, we have a question from chat from Luis. It's a bit of a longer one with Studio, I believe he was saying, so he just wanted to ask it on the mic.
Hi, pardon. Go ahead.
Yeah, Luis, you can go ahead with your question.
Thank you. I'm trying to figure out the difference between the Studio and Studio X, because last time I understood the Studio is more focused, or the scope of the Studio is for, let's see, let's see this scenario. Imagine a bank. There is a lot of business core softwares, legacy system, and a mix of systems. So I can guess Studio is more focused for that kind of environment, right?
Yes, I love that scenario, Luis, that you just painted. That's going to give you the clarity. So using a bank system where you have like more like, complex decisions to be made, to say like loops, or like if you want to build like a larger automation with multiple pieces, I would say Studio. Go with Studio in that case.
All right, so I guess the RPA technology is a other way how to solve improve the business core software, because sometimes needs from the companies is to improve different processes, but the business software core is not capable immediately to do that. So I guess the RPA technology help to continue growing the let's say continue getting all the challenges that is needed to solve for the market. All right, so I guess Studio is only for focus for the enterprise solution, right? But Studio X is only for let's say end user. That's it.
Yes, and I would just like add a slight flavor to it. Like even though like Studio you can build complex automations, me as a personal choice, I would still like out of all the three, I would still prefer Studio to build even like a simple task, because like Studio has this wide variety of like debugging, and I started my automation journey with Studio. So maybe because of that, I'm still loyal to Studio, I guess.
All right.
So Studio offers you a ton of activities. And if you have like, once you start building like, complex automations or like with multiple, decision points, then you will start loving Studio. Primarily because Studio offers this, how do I call it? Like, it's the very individualistic automation. So you can build like multiple pieces so that it's not like a huge one large workflow. So you can always have like small pieces like segmented out. Like imagine if you were to build like a web application with like a C# or so, you would have multiple modules, right? So within Studio, you can do that using like having these different workflows, and like how you mentioned about state machines, you can like build your design in such a way that it's more visual to look at. Versus in Studio X, it's only like task oriented. It's not like a process oriented per se. So like you can address like an immediate task that you want to automate with Studio X or Studio Web. I would say like if you have like a larger process, then I would go for Studio. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you, Priya.
Sure, anytime. And thank you for asking that question. That's a really good one.
Thank you.
Priya, give me just 1 second, just to explain. I think we didn't mention this, explain in English. If you're gonna use Studio X or Studio, you have to install it. Unfortunately, both of them are only available for Windows. So if you're on a Linux environment or you're on a Mac, you won't be able to install it, but you can use Studio Web. That's a caveat that we needed to make. Voy a hacerlo en español ahora nuevamente. Es importante, si quieren usar Studio o Studio X, hay que instalarlo. Y por el momento solamente se puede instalar en Windows. Entonces necesita una máquina que sea Windows. Si ustedes están en un servidor tal vez Linux o una computadora Linux o Mac, en ese caso deben utilizar Studio Web. Con eso no hay que instalar nada y no van a tener ningún problema. Yeah, you can continue, Priya.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian. Yeah, I was just about to mention that too. And one more point just to add to that is with Mac, like if you're still wanting to use your robots on a Mac machine, you can just use the robots. Not like you won't be able to build anything with Studio. You will be able to install just the robot and run it. And you can still use the Studio Web on the automation cloud portal as well. Okay. Any other questions so far? Think we are good? Okay. So I'm going to show you a very simple demo here. And this is going to be a simple extraction. So I'll first like run it and then I'll show you like how it was built. Okay. So this is a simple demo that will show you like how to go to like finance.yahoo.com and extract the crypto prices and put it in an Excel file. All right. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to move these controls around. Okay. And every time you open up like a project that's built in Studio, it just takes like 1 minute to just load up. So let's see how this runs. Okay. And I'm going to hit run. And the moment I hit run, it's going to show me the logs here. And it's going to show me a live stream of what the robot's going to be seeing. So I clicked on that screen so that we all can watch together what the robot does. So as you can see, it opened up the browser and went to finance.yahoo.com. It clicked on crypto. I don't think we highlighted the click, but as you can see, there's a table in the bottom and it actually extracted that table. And I just printed out the count of how many records were extracted. It shows like 25 records were extracted. Okay. And I use like my OneDrive to save this file. So it just says like it's right here. So I'm going to open this up. And as you can see, it has those 25 records right here. Which is, so these are the data that I wanted to extract. I just extracted the symbol, the name, and the price. So this is a simple interaction of how to interact with the web. Okay. So all I did was, sorry, I'm trying to move this. Okay. So all I did was I just created a brand new project and I tried to like interact with the web. So I'm going to try to show you like all the different activities that are available. So let's see. So if I were to create my first project, I will say like, let's say just test demo, and then it goes ahead and creates it. Okay. So in this case, I'm not using a template. I'm just creating a blank project. And as you can see, it gives me like a number of activities that I can use. And in my example, sorry, I'd like to have another window here. So that I can show it to you side by side, like what this one has. Okay, so in my example, to be able to interact with any browser elements, I will have to have this use browser. Okay, so when I click on this use browser, and if you're installing it for the first time, if you're using it for the first time, it will ask you to install a simple plugin to your browser. Okay, so when I first did this, let me show you. This was a plugin that got installed to my browser. So it's a UiPath extension for Studio Web to be able to use the Studio Web. Okay, and in this case, I'm using my Chrome browser. And you can try this with Edge or any other browser that you might have. All right. And when I first use that use browser, I'll just show you like how the UI does. So if I want any of the activities, I will just like search for it. And as you can see, the very first time it's trying to install, like trying to figure out if that extension is available. And then it asks me like, which tab do you want me to automate on? It lists me all the different URLs that I have open. Then you can select so you'll have to open the page that you want to automate with. And then you have to select that one. Okay. In this case, like I chose my finance.yahoo.com, and then it's selected. And if you have a website that requires you to enter username and password, you can enable this, and you can enter your username and password in the screen that pops up. And then like I said, in the finance.yahoo.com, it went and clicked the crypto. So that's what you see here. So it will show you the screenshot of what it had clicked. And then I use the table extraction. So if you go to like finance.yahoo.com. So if this was our landing page, I wanted it to move to this tab. So it went and clicked here. And then it tried to extract this table. Okay. So that's what this extract table data is. And I will definitely say like take the courses on the Academy to get a hand of this activities. So that way it's a lot easier to use. And in this case, I wanted to write my file, the extracted data, to a OneDrive file. Okay. So for that reason, I have used a OneDrive connection. So let's say if I want to use like write range. So write range is the activity. It's an activity that writes. Oops. Okay. So write range is an activity that writes a whole table or like a range of data into like any of the table tabular forms. Okay. So you can use Google Sheets, or you can do OneDrive, or you can do like Microsoft 365, which is like same as your Excel. Okay, so in this case, I use my OneDrive. So I just specified this. And if I were to like use that for the very first time, I had to create my connections. So let me go to manage connections. So the very first time that you are using any of these external applications that is like outside of this UiPath, what happens is it creates a connection. So in this case, I wanted a connection to my OneDrive. So while I was doing that, it offered me an area where I can like create that. So if you were to do it for the first time, this is how it's going to look like. So it will ask, connect to the Microsoft OneDrive and SharePoint. Do you want to give access? And if I click connect, it's going to ask me for my authentication. So you will have to provide your credentials. And once it's like, like you provide the right credentials, it gets created. As you can see, it will show the status as success. I know that was a lot of information, but any questions so far? And Sebastian or Josue?
Yes, thank Priya. I know, yo sé que Priya cubrió un montón de cosas. No sé si tiene alguna pregunta en particular sobre esto, de lo que acabamos de ver, pero básicamente Priya lo que estaba mostrando en pantalla es un flujo que se construyó en Studio Web y va a la página de Yahoo Finances, descarga la información de ciertas criptos y las guarda en un archivo de Excel. ¿Tienen alguna duda o pregunta?
No, de momento no. Todo está claro.
Perfecto, muchas gracias. I think we're good, Priya. We can continue.
Sweet. Okay. And just a little bit about like, since we are working on the Studio Web, I just want to show you like a little bit of like, what are the actions that we can connect to, right? So not just like Microsoft and like Google. So these are the multiple different applications. So if you're working in a large organizations and they use like Amazon SageMaker or Adobe PDF, or like if you want to use like the Confluence Cloud, or if they are using the cloud-based management system, the Coupa, you can still use that. Or if you have a Dropbox, I think there's even a Box and the Gmail. So there are like lots and lots of connectors. All these are like basically like API connections that you don't have to like manually make it, which is where the integration services makes it a lot easier to do it in just one click. As long as you have access to these systems, you can connect to any of these systems that you want to automate with. So let's say if you want to automate within Salesforce, you can add the Salesforce connector and say like provide the credentials, and you can select like the actions that you want to automate within that. So all of this integration services makes your life a lot easier. All you have to do is like look around you and see what are the processes that you want to automate. Okay, any questions with the integration services? Okay.
Y si no hay preguntas, o si tienen preguntas, por favor háganlas, pero Bria lo que estaba explicando acá es cómo por medio de esta sección que llama Integration Services podemos conectarnos con diferentes aplicaciones, como las que ven en pantalla, podemos conectarnos con Google Workspaces, o si no con Box o con Shared Drive o con todos los servicios de Microsoft. Y esto facilita mucho poder consumir datos, archivos o servicios de otros sistemas, o también pasar información a otros sistemas. Si tienen alguna duda, por favor nos dejan saber.
I'll move on to showing you the actual studio here. Just a second, hopefully. Okay. So now I'm switching gears. Okay, we saw what Studio Web looks like. Okay, and if we were to download and install the studio on our machine, this will be the shortcut key on your desktop. So if you see that S, that's your UiPath Studio, and then this purple one, that's your robot. It's called the UiPath Assistant. Okay, so I'm just going to connect it just a second. Okay, and the very first time, that we install this UiPath Studio, it will present you with a pop-up screen to say like whether you want to choose Studio X or Studio itself. So you can switch between these profiles and say like, oh, I want Studio, I want to build automations in Studio or within Studio X. And I think one way, if it hasn't changed, is that like if you choose like if you choose one of the profiles and you want to switch back, I will say like go to the settings here, okay, and say license and profile. Okay, settings, license and profile, and you can click change profile. So this will be your first screen that you might be seeing. Let's say you accidentally chose Studio X and you want to go back to Studio, you can always switch between this by going to your settings. So just go to settings, license and profile, and you can change this, okay? And pretty much the layout of Studio and Studio X are very similar, okay? So let's talk about the layout. As soon as you install, this should be your first one. And let me, all right. Okay. So the quick panels that we are just gonna see here are these three ones, okay? So within Studio, you're gonna have the activities panel on your left-hand side, where you can like, these are drag and drop type of items that help you to build your workflows, okay? And in the center, you have the designer panel, okay? So this is where we are going to be like adding all these activities, the condition flows and the state machines, if you wish. So all those actions happens in the designer panel, okay? And for each of these activities, you can set certain properties or configurations in this properties panel. Okay. Sebastian, do you want to quickly just talk about the panels?
Sorry, I was muted, of course. Perdón, estaba con mute. Lo que tenemos acá es estudio. Este es el otro sabor de estudio que hablábamos. Vimos estudio web, ahora estamos viendo estudio. Y tiene tres tipos de paneles. Uno es el panel izquierdo que ven en pantalla con la letra roja. Aquí vamos a encontrar todas las actividades que ya están construidas para nosotros que podemos utilizar en nuestra aplicación. Después tenemos el panel de diseñador, donde es básicamente un canvas, donde vamos a ir formando el flujo y vamos a ir uniendo las actividades unas con otras para crear esas automatizaciones. Y del lado derecho, en la letra verde, tenemos el panel de propiedades. En este panel podemos configurar las actividades. Por ejemplo, decirle que cuando haga un clic utilice el doble clic o utilice el clic izquierdo o el clic derecho y otro tipo de propiedades que podamos configurar de las actividades.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Sorry, just a second. I'm trying to go back. I think I lost my screen here. Oops, no. Okay. So I'm going to show you a quick demo on using Studio itself, okay? This is a simple demo. This is a simple demo that has been built using the Studio. So when I want to build a new process, I always come here. You see like there are templates that you can choose from, or you can say like start a new process or a library. So you can always like select from one of these options. And once you start building more processes, you will see your recent projects here, okay? So I just built a simple process. This is using the Studio, and as you can see, like on the right side, I will see like over 300 plus activities, and you can still like add on to any specific activities that you want using these packages. And I will highly recommend like, you know, taking the course on the Academy to be able to understand how to like what kind of packages that you want and the ins and out of the Studio itself. Okay, so I will just run this one. Okay. And one cool thing about Studio on Studio and Studio Access, I think it gives you the opportunity to use the dark theme. So usually when you install it, you might get the lighter theme. And I personally like the dark theme because it's good on your eyes. So this example that we are just going to watch is just to go to the tripadvisor.com and go look for a specific hotel. And again, like hands off, I'm not doing this. That's the robot actually typing it. So as you can see, it actually typed out like Sheraton Seattle, and it clicked for the reviews. And it's trying to look for the actual reviews and read through those reviews. So yeah, that was quicker than I thought. Okay. I'm just going to show you what it did. Okay. So, oops. Yeah, that took a while to finish. So as you can see, like I can just build out these workflows one by one, picking on these activities, or I could use the web recorder, okay, to build out my activities. I'll just show you in just a second. Okay, let's say like I just want to build out my first web recorder activity. Let's say I'll start off with a new sequence. Usually your designer panel is empty. So here you can come to the far left side on the design tab. You can see the new. I'm going to build a new sequence. Okay, so you have to like give meaningful names so that your project doesn't look unorganized. So you want to give like a meaningful name to this. So I will say like search page or anything that you that activity, that workflow is going to be doing. So in my project, like I have like all these workflows, so all of them gets aligned here, and the main.xaml is going to be like the entry point for your automation. And I think Luis asked this question, right? Like within Studio, you have to build like these complex. So this is a simple task, but what it gives me is that modularization. I can build these individual components and make this more modularized so that like I want to like attach this to a different automation, I can still do that. And it's more like easy on the eyes to see like, oh, what your process does, because this kind of gives you a flowchart kind of feel that says like, oh, it's very sequential. After this step, it's going to extract the reviews. After this step, it's going to do the review analysis. So that way it's easily understandable. So even if somebody that doesn't know code, but just opens this up, when I give a meaningful name for my workflow, it tells exactly what the job it is doing. So right before I go into that, any questions?
Yes, sure. I have many questions this moment. One of them is, once I have the RPA's robot for the, let's say, a customer service assistant, all right? So my question is, where I run this robot, in a virtual machine or in a physical computer? How I can protect this RPA work, because sometimes the end user doesn't have all the knowledge to create a RPA. So is it possible to protect the RPA, or should I run this RPA in a different computer than the customer service assistant is working? So tell us about that, because in this moment I have a tornado or question running flying in my mind. And thank you.
Luis, that's a great question. Although I will say like that's like the next level. So like for today's scope, like we are like just looking at like the very introductory level to say like how to get started. But Luis, like you're like 10 steps ahead. I love that. And I want to say like in terms of the robot itself, there are like multiple things that you could do. So within UiPath, the robots comes in two flavors. Right now, we are talking about the attended automations that runs on your machine, right? In your case, what you are thinking about as an unattended or like an attended for somebody else. So let's say you build this robot, you can still, this robot, whatever that you build, up and until you publish and package it into the orchestrator, you manage those connections, the access levels, okay? So all that access is being managed through the orchestrator, okay? And for this project, you can still store it in a repository, in a code repository, be it GitHub, like TFS, or like wherever that you choose. So all of that code is going to be secure within like your Azure DevOps or like wherever that you place it, okay? And if you're like a smaller organization, you can just keep it. But if you're an individual person that's just building simple tasks, I would say like this will be on your machine, okay? And if it's like a personal automation, whatever that you run, I'll show you here. When I just go type UiPath assistant, if I had published my process, this is
Right.
how I see it, okay?
Yeah.
So these are all the automations that I currently have access to. And if I don't want to have it, like you can again like do favorites and all that, and you can set like what parameters to run in. So you can right now this doesn't have anything, but like if I were to like have like an open arguments, then I can actually specify what parameters to run with. So for your like like the ground level like customer service representatives, you can actually build an automation with like those specific parameters and say like it runs within their scope of the work. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So
I know it's
I guess there is in a company we will have RPA technicians developing the workflow, polish them in the UPath orchestrator, and then the end user running the processes in their machine. I guess so.
yeah, you're kind of there, but like again, just to give you a more clarity, okay? So if it's a larger organizations, most organizations have a COE, which is the Center of Excellence. Okay, so they are the specific group that actually handles like what is the process. They define like what is the process. They identify those processes, and sorry, just a distraction. Sorry. So within those organizations, the COE handles the process identification. They analyze the ROI, and they actually have a development team that will build this for larger organizations. Okay. But if you are like, and even in that case, those automations that are being built, if it's run in an unattended mode, the business user might not have to run it. They will
All
run
right.
it on a virtual machine and say like schedule it, you know?
Yeah, got it.
So if they still want to have like a business user running it, they can build like simple tasks that runs on their machine. So you have like best of both worlds, if you wish.
So at the end, there is a lot of architectures depend of the corporate needs, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. But great question though. I think like you're thinking in terms of like designing the process itself, like in terms of like how to architect this overall.
Yeah.
I love the thought process.
Yeah, I want to echo Priya's work. Great questions, Luis. We're going to have, this is a reminder for everyone, we're going to have Dr. Bot sessions next week. So if you have the specific questions about technical stuff, how to build stuff or architecture, please join those sessions and we'll be more than happy to help out with the specific questions you may have.
Yeah, and I will always say like, you know, like reach out to like Josue or Sebastian or any of us. And I think like we even have the local chapter, right? So in the future, there'll be like a lot more sessions as well. So if you guys are interested, you can still participate in those as well. And just before we hop on, like, let me show you really quick how to use the web recorder, okay? And again, keep the questions coming. We want like more questions. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to open the web recorder right before that. I'll just pull up like what screen I want to like automate, right? Okay, so if I were to just have this is the page that I'm going to type in. So here on the design tab, like you see this ribbon where it says app or web recorder. I will just select that. And for the very first time, it'll start showing this pop-up. It'll start recording like all my actions. As you can see, I can say like if I like want to click on this, you see that green box, that is like a selector that the UiPath tool is identifying. Oh, this is a button, I could click on that. And as you can see, like there's a little drop down that actually gives you like options. Do you want to double click? Do you want to type into it? Or do you just want to get the text out of that? So all these are like multiple different options. So in my case, all I did was just click on that and then it allows me to type. So it's actually like, as you can see, it's spinning for like the selector. And now it's asking me like, type it. What do you want to search for? So I'm just going to say like, I'm just going to search for the same hotel, and it gives you like options. Do you want to like have like a plain text and expression? And I always select that empty field. It's just a simple thing to say like clear out the text box before typing. And then once I hit enter, and then like as you can see, what do you want to do next? Like it's just like it's gonna keep on going up until you want to finish the automation. But at any point in time, let's say your page is not ready, there's like a random pop-up that comes in. And that's not a pop-up that comes every time. You just want to pause this recording. You can always hit the pause and clear out the pop-up. And then like you can continue doing. And once I hit save, it's gonna like record all the activities that it did. So you see, this is a container that it said, oh, this is the browser that I used, and this is the type into action that I did. So this is how like your software, the studio, can actually build those workflows for you. But again, I would say like fine tune it and make sure that these are workflows that you can like use on like on multiple bases, so that like it's not like hard coded for those specific values.
Priya, we had a question come in. Would you be able to show a web scraping example? So having maybe a table of data that we can extract information out of?
Yep, sure. So we just saw like the user controls, right? So I can just show you like, let's go. Let's do the finance.yahoo.com. So the scenario that we just saw in Studio Web, let's try it out here. Okay. So I just want to go to this page. I'm going to go back. Oh, I'm going to go back to this. And over here, these Zoom controls are hiding these things. Oops. Oh, sorry. Okay. So now I want to extract a table. Okay, over here there is an activity called table extraction. This is the one that I'm going to use currently. So I'll click on that, and the moment I do that, then it starts like looking for like what table, like where is the table? It's trying to figure out like where, but my table is right here. So I'm just going to select that. And as I go through my table, I'm going to select like what are the fields that I want to select. So let's say I want to start off with a symbol. So I'll say like add a new column. So you need to select like which column you want to first select. Okay. Oops. So now that it switched tabs, I'm just going to hit function F2 to like delay this process. So that way, like I can get to the right tab. So while I'm doing the recording, if I'm not in the right screen and I need to get to that space, I can always do F2 to like pause that recording for like 5 seconds. So that's what just happened. And you can always do that for any web recording or table extraction or anything. Okay. So right now, when I did that add new column, you see it gives me that green highlighted box that helps me choose this. So this is the column that I want to select. And as you can see, this table extraction is a little smarter, where it identified, hey, you're looking at like a bigger table and I can extract all the columns for you. So if you say yes, it's going to extract the entire table for you. Okay, so I'll say yes, just for fun. And as you can see, it selected all the columns. It has the column names and it has the data inside. So now you have the opportunity to pick and choose whether I want these columns or not. So I can click on this preview button here. Oops. The preview button will show me like all the columns that are there. Okay. So this was natively from this website, that this is a table that is existingly available. Okay, now I can choose, okay, the preview looks good. Or if I want to say like, oh, I don't want these columns, I can always delete. It gives me that option. Okay, and there are not a lot of additional columns since we extracted the entire table. Okay, now that I'm done, I can say like save and close, or like there's one more step to say like if I have like tables with multiple pages, I can say like extract data with multiple pages. Okay, so if I hit yes, now I'm going to indicate the next button. Where is the next button to say like where is the next page? Okay, so I will select this one, and it's going to collect that button's information and store it within this table. And then I will say like close. Now we will have this extract table activity. Okay, so this was built using this table extraction, and you will end up with the output of extract table. Okay, and the output out of this activity is an extract data table. So if I go to the variables tab, I can see a variable that was automatically created after this table creation. Okay, now I can use this variable to write into an Excel or like email it out. You can do anything with this data now. Any questions with the extractions? I'll show you quickly one more way of doing the table extraction. Okay.
Priya, I have another question.
Yeah.
I was wondering if is there any RPA proof technology to avoid the data is captured? For instance, I have information in my webpage, but I don't want to share all the data. So someone can use the UiPath Studio in order to capture all the data. So I was wondering how to avoid that my data is copied. So I try to, Sebastián, ¿cómo se dice a prueba de RPA en inglés? Estoy tratando de decir RPA proof.
Proof of
Como
concept.
un catch-up, ¿te referís o algo así?
No, es,
No.
es como decir waterproof, es como RPA proof.
Es
Oh.
secure.
Proof of concept or
No, él dice, no puedo usar la RPA para este website, ¿de verdad?
No, my question is, Priya, is there any technology that um, that keep the information that is public in internet to be used through RPAs?
So let me ask you this, Luis. Like, I think I understand your question, but help me out here.
All
So
right.
you are saying that this is a website that has a certain information that is visible to you
Yep.
and the public.
Yep.
And you are saying using RPA, is there a way that I can secure it?
For instance, my competitor can use that information. So is there right now any technology that can I use in order to secure my information? Is visible in internet,
So
but it's
basically,
not allowed.
so you're looking to prevent somebody from grabbing that information.
That's it. For instance, I have a store
Right.
with different prices of my products. So the end user can select and take the decision. I will buy this mug or this, let's say, toy, but my competitor can use the RPA technology in order to
Right.
reduce your prices. So I was wondering if there is a technology RPA
So
proof.
yeah, so I can maybe answer that. So there is, I mean, there are some things out there that companies can do that make RPA more difficult to work with. An example, LinkedIn actually makes it very difficult to try to automate against. They constantly change how some of their elements on their screens work, things like that. So automations will break quite often on LinkedIn. But there's like once the data, like if the data is there and available, it's hard to have a way to prevent something from scraping it, right? And that's not going to be an RPA thing. That's just going to be in general how that data is displayed. They may, instead of putting it as actual data on the screen, maybe they put it as a picture, but then again, RPA could easily just grab that picture and extract the information from it as well. So there's not really anything that's kind of like anti data scraping out there. There's different things that companies can do over time to make it more difficult, but there'll always kind of be a way to go around that.
All right. So it's
Yeah,
difficult to develop a system.
And Luis, let
Our
me ask you
scrapping is proof.
Right.
Yeah. And Luis, I just want to ask you this question. So think of RPA as like something that mimics your human action, right? So if I were to go to that website and if I can manually see and copy it, the RPA can do that. So
Yes.
unless and until, like, let's say you put like a IP or like certain level of security around it, or say like access monitoring, and that way like you monitor the traffic, and this becomes like a cybersecurity question versus RPA. Does that make sense? So
Yes, I guess at the end, I can use let's see, a captcha system in order to confirm that the person that is using that information is a real person, not a RPA, right?
oh, you want to know like who captured that information?
No,
Yeah,
I think what he's referring like a catch up, like a Google,
catch
hey,
up.
like an
Oh,
image, pick up bicycles from this image. Yeah, that's a
Oh,
great technique to avoid
yeah.
that's, yeah.
bots from scraping your data.
Which there are ways around that with RPA as well. But yes, it is a way to try to prevent that.
Yeah,
All
there's
right. I
always going to be like counterintuitive products coming across, so we'll have to like definitely play with it. The more
okay.
you try to secure it, there'll be like another product, be it like UiPath or like any other AI products for that matter. Because currently there's a lot of like AI websites going around that actually gives you this kind of like abilities also, right? So there's no way to be like 100% secure at this point of like the digital age that we are living in. So that's why
Okay.
I would say like take a look at the security side and see like how you can hold on to that information.
In fact, I saw the Lewis Goldenberg, the answer. There isn't really a specific anti-RPA technology. So,
Yeah,
all right, this is the answer that I was trying to figure out.
sweet.
Thank you, Priya.
Sure. No problem. Okay. Just quickly about the table extraction though, we saw how to do the entire table, right? So if I were to do the new column and I selected this, and when the UiPath tool tells me like, would you like to extract all the columns? I can say no and say like, I only want to manually select like just 2 columns. Okay. I can always do that. So now it's asking me, do you want the text or the URL behind it? So you can always choose what you want to select. And then now it has selected so many, so I can give a column name. Okay, so I can call it the symbol and I can hit confirm. Now you can see the blue highlighted marks that these are all the columns that it has selected. Now I can add my second column to it to say like, okay, give me the price of it. So that way I can see the price. Okay, and this is very manual. So again, there are 2 ways to do it. If your table is pretty solid, then you can select the entire table. Again, it depends on website to website or the application that you're interacting with. So however that your application support, that's how you might see that pop up. Okay. So this is like a more manual way to do it, like to say like, I will specifically handpick my columns. And again, like the output is still going to be the same. It's going to be another extract data table, and like you will see the variable as well. Okay. And one quick thing that I want to show you before we run out of time is the analysis part. So all we saw was the extraction, right? So it went through the hotel reviews and it put in the output, like I asked it to write it locally. So this was the review here. It's going to pull up the Excel. So as you can see, it actually wrote down like the 3 things. It did the title, the description, and the reviewed by person. So those are the things that it actually extracted. Now, if I want to apply AI to it, I can actually use the sentiment analysis that comes out of the box. Sorry, just give me a second. Sorry about that. This is taking quite a while. I'll try to go to the other area and see if this is working faster. Okay. So within UiPath, it offers like multiple different out-of-the-box AI models. So if I go here, I can see the AI Center. And again, one more thing to note is that like if you don't have access to all these products, please don't worry. It might be just your access. So you'll just have to go to your admin and add those services to you. Okay. Sorry. Sebastian, do you want to quickly translate that part?
Sí, ya. Lo que está diciendo Priya es que no, algunas veces cuando se crean las cuentas, no todos los servicios están habilitados. Entonces, si eso llegara a pasar, lo que tienen que hacer es irse al panel de administración. Priya, can you repeat how to get to this panel? Sí, no, aquí lo que es, bueno, ahorita lo volvemos a repetir, pero básicamente vienen a este panel de administración. Ahorita les enseñamos cómo llegar acá y pueden ir a donde dice licencias y ahí pueden habilitar los otros componentes o los otros servicios que no tienen disponibles. Voy a hacer una pausa aquí a ver si tienen alguna duda o pregunta. Hasta el momento lo que hemos cubierto. No. Priya, can you repeat how do you go to this admin?
Yeah,
panel?
sorry, Sebastian. I was like,
No worries.
off at
No
that
worries.
and I couldn't hear you. Sorry about that. So
Básicamente vienen a este botón de la izquierda y después van.
let's say like right here, everybody should
Right.
have access to the admin. And again, like this depends. So if you're like using this for your learning purposes, if you're using your own account, like a personal account, you should be the admin, okay? But if you're in a larger companies, like larger organizations, and if they are like managing like your cloud portal, you may not have access to the admin. But I would say like, if you don't have access, just try to use it outside your company as well so that you can see how this works. So all I did was like just click on the admin and we come to the screen. Okay, and then I click on the tenant. Like as you can see, the Priya Esteves is my organization, but my tenant that was created is this one. Okay, so I can always create multiple tenants as well. And here are my services for this tenant. So yeah, and I can pick and choose like what I want to enable or disable and like get API access to each of these tenants, like depending on like their availability. Okay, so if you don't have like a AI center, you can always like enable it and like launch it from there as well. Okay. Okay, so let's say you have access to AI center. Okay. What I did was like, you can always create a simple project to test out the out-of-the-box capabilities that UiPath offers. Okay, so here I have a test project that was created and it's
Priya,
usually, yeah.
can you give me just 1 second to do the intro on this?
Yes, please.
Y ahorita lo que vamos a ver con Priya, vamos a ver AI Center o el Centro de Inteligencia Artificial. Esas son capacidades que tiene UiPath de poder integrar modelos de Machine Learning, de inteligencia artificial dentro de los proyectos. Entonces, eso es lo que vamos a ver ahorita. Claramente es un tema bastante amplio y vamos a tocar unas de las funcionalidades y de las funciones que se pueden lograr con esto. Yeah, you can go ahead, Priya.
Yeah. Thanks, Sebastian. So like now we have like a simple dashboard for this project. Okay. So I'll show you where the out-of-the-box packages are. And again, like this is an intensive course by itself. So I'm just going to show you like a quick overview. Okay. So we'll go to the ML packages. As you can see, you can like either bring your own machine learning model. So let's say you have like a data scientist team and like that helps you build their own model, or you want to like use an open source model, you can always like using the import ML packages. But for today, we're going to look at the out of the box packages. Okay. So as you can see, there are like a lot of like packages that are offered by UiPath. And there's the image analysis, the document understanding, the language analysis. And for today, I just use the open source language analysis. So once I go inside, there are the packages. Okay, so I can use the English text classification or my language detection. For this example, I'm just using the sentiment analysis. So all I need to do is like select this, and it's a retrainable model. So it gives you like what the model does and the input and the output. and it will tell you like if it's a retrainable or not. And sorry, this one's not a retrainable one, my bad. And once I hit submit, it's going to create that model for me. So all you did was like you actually had your package. Now you need to create a skill. Okay. So these are the two important steps. Once you create your package, sorry, then you want to go ahead and create your skill. The second step that I did was just create my skill. I name my skill and like select the package that I just created. And then like it takes just a few minutes to deploy this, because like if you have like an inactive package for a while, it gets stopped. So you can always like go back and build a new one. Okay. So I've already done this step. Once I've created my ML skill, then I go back to, oh, where is that? Then I would go back to my, sorry, just trying to find my window screen there. Okay, then I would go back to my studio to be able to use that skill. Okay, so I'll show you how I did that. So we read these reviews, right? So we saw like how these reviews are being used. And I just want to see like what's the sentiment around these reviews. Okay, there are like some positive ones, some negative ones. So I want to do a sentiment analysis on this description. Okay. So all I did was I read that Excel file in, I read the data in, and then I added like 2 columns called sentiment and confidence to my data table. And then for each row within that review, I apply the sentiment analysis. So I use the ML skill activity. So if I use this and I go here and I look for ML skill, and if you don't find it again, like always go to the manage packages. If you don't find that skill, we can always just go to the official one and look for the ML. And then like you can actually select the ones that are offered by UiPath. And there you go, the ML services. So this is the one that I installed in order to get this activity. Okay. So I needed this packages to be able to get this activity. So I will go to this manage skill and I will install the ML services. Since it's already installed, you would see an install button and then you click save. And then like in less than 2 minutes, you will have access to all these activities. Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry. So I'll just show you like how to use the skill. Come on. Okay. So as you can see, now that my ML skill is connected, like it says like it's going to use the robot. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my robot to access to that AI center to get this. Okay. And we are going to use this. This is my current skill that is available. And we will do the test skill. Okay. So let's say if I want to use this, I will say like late surveys, poor quality. So let's say this was the review. Okay, let's see if the skill is able to identify. It says it's very negative sentiment. So this tells me like, okay, at least like it's somewhat working. Oh, sorry. And I'm sorry. And I can see that the output is the sentiment and the confidence. And those are the 2 columns that I'm going to add to my Excel. Okay. So once I have this, then I will get the input. So here I've configured. So from each row, I only want the description column as my input. And then I want the JSON response as the output. And once that comes out, I just deserialize that. And then like I get the values from each of that JSON object. So I'm getting that sentiment and the confidence, and I save it to a local variable. And that part, I'm just assigning it back to the data table to be able to write it. Once I do that, this is the output that I get. I write the data back to the Excel sheet on a different sheet so that I can see it. So this sentiment analysis had analyzed all of these descriptions, and it gives me the sentiment, whether it is overall positive or negative, or if it's even neutral. And it tells me the confidence level on which it's being used. And again, like you can take this and apply to any scenarios of your automations and like expand this idea. So any questions? with this. Oh, and I wanted to go over really quick with the robot connection. We'll just see that in a second. But before that, any questions with this?
Sí, no sé si tienen alguna duda de lo que acabamos de ver. Básicamente, Priya lo que nos ayuda a cubrir es cómo podemos usar capacidades de Machine Learning. Y en este caso en específico, lo que importamos fue un modelo que permite hacer análisis de sentimientos. Poder identificar si con base en un texto la percepción es positiva o negativa. Y eso lo logramos a través de AI Center, que es esa funcionalidad de poder importar modelos predictivos dentro de nuestros robots. No sé si tienen alguna duda al respecto. Otro punto que es importante, UiPath ofrece modelos de Machine Learning out of the box disponibles para poder ser consumidos. Entonces no es como que ustedes tienen que ir a desarrollar un modelo desde cero, sino que pueden utilizar esos modelos que ya existen y consumirlos dentro de las automatizaciones que estén creando. No sé si tienen alguna duda o pregunta.
Sure. Sebastian, I was wondering, is it possible to integrate like a local repository, like a GitHub, in order to integrate, let's say, let's see, like I'm trying to remember the Spanish version. La,
The TFS, Luis?
let's see, I'm trying to figure out this situation. For instance, I am a developer. I'm working, I used to work machine learning development. So we have a machine learning development in our repository in GitHub. So I want to integrate this development to the workflow of. So is it possible to link the repository to the workflow? I guess.
Yes, and what you're basically trying to do is creating a new model, right?
Yeah.
What you will need to do is get that repo and create an ML skill. So if you go to AI Center, you'll have the ability to create a new ML skill that is based on a custom ML model, like what you're mentioning. So you upload this ML model and into AI Center, and then you will be able to consume that in your automation. But yeah, basically to answer your question, yes, that is possible to do.
So
And Priya is showing us.
I compile the ML model. So it's only to download the ML model into the studio, right?
Yes. So you will use this feature that Priya is showing on screen. You will import that model, and then you can upload any metadata related to that model, and you will be able to consume that through the bot.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you have to go through the AI Center because like if it's ML related, I would say like use it here instead of the studio. So the studio will be like your consumption for RPA.
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Sweet. And one more thing that we just wanted to show you really quick is the connection to the robot. I'm sorry, I skipped that step. I think like once you install your studio for the first time, it might ask you with this UiPath assistant, hey, I want to connect it. So once you hit sign in, it's going to go to that cloud.uipath.com. So that should be like a very easy, flawless step. But if you have like any trouble getting that UiPath assistant, you should see this green light, which means like you're connected and it's licensed and you don't have any issues. But if you see like orange or red, or if you see any other color other than green, just let us know in the chat so that like we can just like quickly get you connected. And once I go to my studio, I'm also signed in with the same account, right? Because of that, I can see that it's connected to my orchestrator URL. So it actually gives me all the folders that I have access to. And currently I'm working off of the same workspace. And Luis, just to add a twist to your question, you were trying to ask for the ML skill, right? But what if you are working with multiple developers on RPA itself? So if you were to build these individual workflows separately, in that case, I would say store it into a source control. So you can always go to this Git, or like you can have like any of the repositories that you guys would like to add it to, and you can always add it there.
Awesome.
Okay, so that way, like you have access to all, I mean, like all your developers have access. And when you guys are doing code reviews, like you can go through like who checked in what, and you know, like analyze everything. So anybody having any trouble with the assistant so far? Is everybody connected? Because that's a pretty important step that we just want to make sure that you're connected to the system. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, awesome. So I'm just gonna go on to this next slide really quick. So this is about like what are the resources that are available within UiPath. And we have the Academy, which is the academy.uipath.com. If you go here, this is a pretty free academy, one of the best that has like courses of all the different tools that we talked about and many more, because like there you can learn the foundations of what these tools does and how you can even apply it. So I would say like use the Academy, and it gives you the practice exercises. Please try to utilize them and do the practice exercises to be able to like, you know, become an expert in all these products. And again, like all of this is going to be like really new. I know like when I started my RPA journey, I had so many questions. So I used the forum to ask my questions, and the forum is like a really nice place where you can ask your questions in your own language as well. So like even if you're writing it in Spanish, somebody will answer that question for you. And this is a global forum where like people across the world are using this. So you might not be the only one that's facing that challenge, and it might have already been answered. So you might want to search that question before you want to post it as well. And again, no question is a silly question. You can always like post your screenshots, and if you wish, you can even like give like your workflow files and see like where the error occurs. And third one is the marketplace. The marketplace gives you like starter packs to start off with, like, or packages that are built by UiPath and other partner. So there are solution accelerators that are available. So you can actually download and get that like as a plug and play, or some of them are like reusable components and templates that you can use and use that as needed. And the last and final one is the community.uipath.com. This is one of the favorite places where you can sign up for the future events. So not only like just in your local community. So in Costa Rica, there is a chapter where you can sign up for. So let's say if Sebastian or Josue or Diana is like hosting another event, you get notified for the next event as well. And whenever there are like other virtual events, you can still sign up. And let's say if you're in a busy schedule and you cannot attend those events, but you have registered, at least you get to see the recording. So the learning is the most important step, and we are all in this together. So again, like nobody can be like 100% like knowledgeable in everything. So we all have to help each other to learn and grow together. So please go ahead and sign up to the Academy and the community, and like come up with any questions, please let us know. And we saw the demo. Oh, and that's me. Okay, and if you do have any questions, you can always like reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. And I'm also a UiPath MVP, just like Sebastian and Josue are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya. This has been great. Thank you for putting this together. Any questions, guys? ¿Alguna pregunta en español también que quieran realizar antes de terminar la sesión?
Sebastián, mañana continuamos.
Sí, mañana tenemos otra sesión. Let me just double check. Diana and Priya, do we have another session tomorrow, right?
We do, and they can attend just if they want to hear this again.
Yes.
We also are not done today. We are going to talk about the hackathon next.
Yeah, that's sorry about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about the hackathon. Vamos a hablar del hackathon. Ahora todavía no hemos terminado. Vamos a hablar del hackathon. Mañana, Luis, para tu pregunta, vamos a ver el mismo contenido. Entonces, si te uniste hoy no, y querés revisar mañana otra vez la sesión, bienvenido, pero vamos a repasar el mismo contenido.
Also, in the chat, Sebastian, I put where the recording will be tomorrow. So
Mhm.
make sure that they copy all the information in the chat. There's the open office hours. There's the how to sign up for the hackathon. There is the where the recording will be. It's very important they copy that.
Sí, ok. Un punto que menciona Diana es, ahí hemos posteado durante la sesión los links a diferentes recursos. Uno de ellos es para la sesión de mañana y también para las sesiones que vamos a tener la otra semana de Office Hours, donde vamos a ayudar a construir los robots. Entonces, por favor, ingresen a esos. También otro link que posteamos es dónde encontrar las grabaciones del día de hoy. Por favor, guarden esos links porque van a ser de gran utilidad para cualquier anuncio que hagamos durante el hackathon y accesar los diferentes recursos.
Thank you, Priya and Sebastian. That was awesome. So I'm going to start my slides up again.
Okay, Diana. I'll
Yeah.
see you guys tomorrow then.
Yes. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the hackathon and review what we did at the awareness session. So basically, this isn't really your typical hackathon. You will be invited to present in person at Fotech in San Jose. Once you're selected as a finalist, but we really appreciate everybody joining us. We hope that you sign up for the hackathon. It will be an experience that I don't think that you will find anywhere else. So I really encourage you to please sign up for it. Even if you are just new, it's fine. You know, just getting through and being with everybody and trying to do one of these projects is really critical for your first step in RPA. So I hope you do that. Again, our courses are free anytime. And all those links are in the chat. These are the 3-hour training sessions. You're free to join tomorrow as well. And both sessions will be recorded. And then again, I put the virtual office hours in the chat. And if you guys sign up for those sessions, we're going to have everybody on those sessions to answer the questions that you have. And then you're going to be formulating your own problem statement and solution. So we're going to go through that a little bit more. If you go to this URL right here, that's where you sign up for the hackathon. On that page, and that is in the chat, on that page is all the instructions you need for applying for the hackathon. So we're going to go through that one more time.
Lo que vamos a ver ahorita es cómo ingresar al hackathon e inscribirse. Algo que mencionaba Diana es que no es el típico hackathon, es una oportunidad muy buena. Es la primera vez que UiPath hace un evento así en Costa Rica, así que somos de los primeros afortunados de tener este tipo de experiencias.
So right now we're at the 3-hour training sessions. That's today and tomorrow. And then on August 29th, September 5th, and September 6th, we have the 2-hour office hour slots. And so you want to start working on your projects now because your submissions are due on September 7th.
Y lo que acaba de decir Diana es, hoy estamos en la sesión del viernes 25, donde estamos haciendo un overview, un repaso general de UiPath. Vamos a tener esta misma sesión el día de mañana. Así que si alguien no pudo atender, que ustedes conozcan, por favor déjenle saber que pueda atender a la sesión de mañana. El 5 y 6 de septiembre vamos a tener office hours. Estas son sesiones dedicadas a poder ayudarles a ustedes en la confección de los robots. Entonces vamos a ver varios expertos en UiPath donde vamos a ayudar a aclarar dudas puntuales de sus proyectos. Y tengan mucho en cuenta que para el 7 de septiembre es cuando tienen la fecha límite para ingresar su proyecto. Entonces, mejor empezar a trabajar en esos proyectos desde ahora para que antes del 7 de septiembre ya los hayan podido incluir dentro de la competencia.
And then what we will do, you can submit, prefer you to submit in English, but if you can only submit in Spanish, that's okay. It will take us a week to review the submissions, and then we will let the finalists know on September 14th, by September 14th, if they're selected or not.
Y básicamente se promueve que ingresen las soluciones o sus proyectos finales en inglés. Sin embargo, si lo pueden hacer en español también está bien. Cualquiera de las dos, preferiblemente inglés de ser posible. Eso nos va a tomar a partir del 7 de septiembre, que es la fecha límite de ingresar las solicitudes. Nos va a tomar una semana revisarlas. Estaremos anunciando quiénes son las personas que pasaron a la ronda final. Y el 23 de septiembre vamos a tener las presentaciones que serán en persona en la Universidad de Senfotec.
And then please make sure that you save the date for Saturday, September 23rd, if you're invited in person to present.
Recuerden esta fecha, el sábado 23, así que no hagan planes para, si son escogidos, puedan llegar a presentar a la universidad el 23 de septiembre.
Great.
Diana, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So I was wondering about our development. So is it possible to present proof of concept, or is needed to develop a well-done development?
It's really proof of concept, and then it's a 3-minute video that you're going to prepare so you can kind of show. And Louis, I don't know if you have any input on this as well. We'd like to see as much as possible on the demonstration.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, to maybe expand on that a bit. So definitely, like, this is proof of concept level. We're not expecting a fully built out solution for this. It's just being able to make sure you have it as completed as possible that you're able to. So if your intent is to, perform all of these steps, if you're able to automate all those steps, right? So just being able to showcase all of that, that's really kind of the goal here. And then, as Diana mentioned, there's the video submission that comes along with it, just to kind of showcase, hey, this is what your automation is, this is what its intent is, being able to show that demo video, and then we'll be able to also potentially see it live during that in-person presentation.
Yeah, and Sebastian, you might want to say this in Spanish, but if you go to the UiPath forum, about halfway down the page on the right hand or on the left hand side are the use cases. So we just had a recent hackathon and those use cases are there. So if people are interested in kind of what they, some examples, they might want to go there just to look at what was presented.
Sí, Luis hacía una pregunta sobre qué tan complejas o terminadas tienen que estar las soluciones. En realidad lo que estamos buscando es un POC, una prueba de concepto. Lo que les vamos a solicitar como prueba de su proyecto final es un video de 3 minutos de la automatización que crearon. Y en la página de UiPath van a poder encontrar ejemplos de lo que han hecho otros participantes en otros hackatones que se han realizado. Entonces, para que lo vean si tienen algún tipo de duda. Diana, we have a question on the chat from Manan. Let me address that. No todos, la pregunta de Manan es si tienen que estar presencialmente en Costa Rica. La idea es que al menos uno de los miembros del equipo esté en Costa Rica y pueda ir a la presentación final. El resto de miembros pueden no estar acá, pero al menos uno de ellos tiene que atender al evento. Yes. You're good, Diana.
Okay, great. So again, all of these URLs are in the chat box. They just need to register or copy them. So the forum is where they can ask questions. These are the office hour sessions and the links. So all that is in the chat.
Sí, todos estos links que vemos acá están en el chat de Zoom.
And in order to participate in the hackathon, you just need to be 15 years old and be either a student or an IT professional.
Y para participar, parte de los requisitos es que sean al menos mayores de 15 años, residan en Costa Rica, haciendo el caveat de lo que decíamos anteriormente, al menos un participante tiene que poder presentar ese día y tienen que ser ya sea estudiantes o profesionales de IT.
Okay, and in order to, you also need to sign up on the hackathon site by the August 31st. It will be taken down after that.
Eso es muy importante. Tienen que inscribirse antes del 31 de agosto. Si no, ya posteriormente a esta fecha ya no va a estar disponible el link. Entonces, esta es la primera acción que tienen que tomar. Si no lo han hecho, registrarse en el link que acaba de postear Lewis en el chat de Zoom.
Thank you. Okay, so for the key rules are that a team can be anywhere from 1 person to 4 people. You must follow the submission instructions that is on that same website. Your presentation and video can be in English, but we prefer, but can be in Spanish. So I'll stop there, Sebastian.
Sí, los equipos pueden ser de 1 persona o hasta 4. Una vez que ingresan al link, les van a dar más instrucciones de cómo tiene que verse el proyecto. Y la presentación se puede hacer en inglés o español, preferiblemente en inglés, pero si no pudieran hacer en inglés, español también es aceptable.
And your solution just must include one of the following: UiPath Studio, UiPath Studio X, or UiPath Studio Web.
Sí, el proyecto debe incluir, o el video que van a incluir, tienen que utilizar Studio, Studio Web o Studio X, cualquiera de esos 3, al menos alguno de ellos 3.
And then everybody on the team needs to register, but only one team member needs to submit all the files.
Solamente Can you repeat that, Diana? Sorry.
Yeah, when submitting your solution, only one team member needs to submit the files, but everybody needs to register separately on the team.
Got it. Okay. Todos los miembros del equipo deben registrarse en el link que se ve en pantalla, pero solamente un miembro tiene que meter la solución final, pero todos tienen que estar registrados.
And then everybody on your team needs to register and attend one of these 2 trainings. So there's another one tomorrow. If they can't make it, they need to let us know so we can at least send them the recordings to watch.
Todos deberían poder atender a las sesiones de hoy o el día de mañana. Si no pudieron atender, nos dejan saber para poder enviarles la grabación.
And you can submit more than one solution as a participant or a team.
Can't or can?
You can, yeah.
Okay. Sí, pueden ingresar más de una solución por equipo.
So if you have 2 solutions, please submit them both.
Yeah. Yeah. Entonces, si tienen 2 soluciones, por favor ingresen ambas.
And then the categories. So there's 3 different categories for this. The first one is to showcase Costa Rica and highlight what Costa Rica is known for, something specific to Costa Rica. So I'm just going to let you go through this in Spanish. Sebastian?
Sí, tenemos 3 categorías. La primera categoría es Showcase Costa Rica. Básicamente, algún tipo de automatización que sea específica a Costa Rica, algo de lo que nos sintamos muy orgullosos o algún tema relacionado con nuestra cultura. puede ser agricultura, el clima, historia de Costa Rica, y que la idea con esta categoría es que puedan presentar cosas relevantes de nuestro país. Esa sería la categoría 1. La categoría 2 sería problem solving o solucionar problemas de la comunidad. Entonces, poder identificar algún tema dentro de nuestras comunidades que por medio de la automatización y estos herramientas que vimos pueda ser solucionado. Temas como salud mental, cómo aumentar la economía, cambio climático, facilitar entrenamientos virtuales, fomentar el empleo o inclusive aprender un segundo idioma. Cualquiera de estos temas pueden ser incluidos dentro de esta temática de solucionar problemas dentro de la comunidad. Y por tercer punto o categoría tenemos la vida estudiantil en Costa Rica. Entonces, solucionar algún tipo o aliviar algún tipo de problemática sobre tareas administrativas dentro de un colegio, escuela o universidad, cómo mantenerme enfocado en mis labores educativas o poder facilitar los procesos de educación, cómo puedo inclusive incursionar en el mercado laboral como estudiante, cómo puedo buscar oportunidades para pasantías, o también cómo puedo promover la salud mental y emocional de los estudiantes. Entonces, estas son las tres categorías que tenemos eh, para poder identificar una problemática y crear la solución que vamos a estar ingresando dentro de la competencia.
And this-
Abajo, en el link que ven al final, que ya hemos convertido anteriormente, pueden haber soluciones o ideas que se han hecho anteriormente en otros hackathons.
Yeah. And this is a really good way to showcase for both UiPath and Greenlight Consulting. So we're really excited about it.
Sí, sí, estas son temáticas muy, muy apreciadas por UiPath y Greenline Consulting. Entonces, por favor, si tienen dudas o preguntas, déjenos saber, pero son temáticas muy actuales y muy interesantes.
Great, thank you. And then there's a bonus category. Do you want to talk about this, Sebastian?
Sí, hay una categoría que es como un bonus, donde hay premios específicos para esta categoría y son aquellas soluciones que utilicen inteligencia artificial en sus capacidades. Entonces, vimos con PRIA, hay una sección de UiPath que se llama AI Center. No es el único producto que tiene funcionalidades de inteligencia artificial. Esto tal vez no lo pudimos cubrir, pero UiPath también ofrece una opción que se llama Document Understanding, que permite extraer información de documentos, Clipboard AI, que permite también automatizar tareas con base en un contexto, Action Center, Integration Services, inclusive se puede integrar por medio de Integration Services funcionalidades de ChatGPT y otros motores que utilizan inteligencia artificial generativa. Entonces, cualquier solución que incluya inteligencia artificial va a estar participando de esta categoría adicional de utilización de inteligencia artificial. Tienen que especificarlo cuando hacen la sumisión de sus soluciones. Tienen que especificar que ustedes están utilizando inteligencia artificial en sus proyectos.
Great. And this is a judging criteria. Do you want to go through this as well?
Sure. ¿Qué vamos a estar evaluando? Vamos a estar evaluando el impacto de la idea, poder transmitir cuál es el beneficio o el potencial de desarrollar esto, el concepto, qué tan disruptivo o innovador es la solución que diseñaron. Como tercer punto, la tecnología, que representa un 25% de toda la evaluación. Cómo utilizaron eficazmente las tecnologías que UiPath provee. El 15% del score final también va a contemplar qué tan completa está la solución y si llegó a alcanzar el objetivo. Otro 15% se le da a la presentación del video, si se explicó de forma adecuada el problema y si se pudo articular de forma adecuada la solución. Y por último, también está la categoría de AI, que esto va a tener su mención aparte dentro del scorecard.
Great, thank you. And then the prizes are for each category, categories 1, 2. The first one is to showcase Costa Rica. The first prize is $100 USD UiPath voucher and a $50 USD gift card from Greenlight. And then the same for category 2, where you focus on nationwide community problem solving. And the same for category 3, student life in Costa Rica. And then there's an AI bonus prize, and this is courtesy of Greenlight, where you would receive $100 USD gift card and for the first prize, and a second prize would be a $50 USD gift card. And I just want to make sure that you guys know that that's for every member of the team that wins or comes in second.
Okay. Aquí están los premios. Básicamente tenemos premios para todas las categorías. Primer lugar se llevará un voucher de $100. En segundo lugar, un voucher de $50. Esto gracias a Greenlight. Todos los miembros del equipo, esos $100, entonces si son 4 miembros sería $400 en total por equipo. Entonces cada uno de los montos que hay acá es por participante. Y también tenemos premios del AI, la categoría de inteligencia artificial, donde son similares. Primer lugar $100, segundo lugar $50. También todos los participantes van a obtener un certificado de finalistas.
Great, thanks. Okay, so Lewis, do you want to start here?
Yeah, I can do that. So in regards to the submission guidelines, so we've mentioned September 7th is going to be our deadline for any submissions to come in. You have until midnight of that day. If you're submitting it as a team rather than just as a single person that's submitting this, you only need to submit it once, so not everyone needs to put it in. So pick a team leader, somebody that can submit it for you, and they can put it in. As part of the package that you're going to be submitting to us, this is going to be something you can just zip the information into like a zip file, and it should include your process design document, which details what your process is about, your solution design diagram. You can use something like UiPath's Task Capture to be able to do that, or build it yourself. This really should just kind of be the data flow and the architecture for how your process is supposed to work. You should also include inside here your UiPath project files, so those workflow files. You can just, once you create a project, you'll find that folder inside your documents folder on your machine. Just zip that entire folder up and you can include that. It should also include the presentation template, which is available on the Hackathon site. You'll see the link to it on there. It's about 5 or 6 slides, I believe, that they get included with that, with some key details. There'll be a video on there that you'll need to provide as well, which will demonstrate what your solution is. Please try to keep that video to less than 5 minutes. And then if you use any external scripts or additional files, maybe you've built a test file to run this process against, please make sure to include those as well. The idea being, once these are sent over to us, we're going to try to run them on our side as well, just to see how they all work. So if we're not able to run it, it's going to be hard for us to be able to make sure that it's working as it should be.
Sí, y básicamente lo que dijo Lewis es, recuerden esta fecha, 7 de septiembre, el día final para ingresar a soluciones, que deben incluir un PDD o un documento de diseño de proceso. Si tienen algún tipo de diagrama de cómo debe funcionar la automatización, lo incluyen ahí. También deben incluir el proyecto de UiPath, el que utilizaron para crear la solución. Incluir la presentación. Hay un template para esta presentación que se les dará cuando llenen la solicitud del hackathon. Y por último, o no por último, hay que incluir también un video que no dure más de 5 minutos demostrando la solución que crearon. Y si tienen algún tipo de scripts o files adjuntos al proyecto, también los deben incluir antes del 7 de septiembre en la página.
Yeah, I think Lewis has a question.
Sebastián,
Sí, Luis.
con respecto a la fecha y la hora, ¿Es
Ujú.
respecto a qué zona horaria? ¿Costa Rica o Central Time o Eastern Time?
Yeah, good question. Diana, do you know if this is the September 7th,
Yeah, as long
11th?
as you get it in by midnight your time, we're good.
Yeah, sí, entonces hora Costa Rica.
Got it. Thank you.
Great. So I think this is for you too, Louis.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so this is just in relation to the use case that you're going to build and as part of your proof of concept for your process. So just some things to consider as when you're looking for a process to actually build out. Really try to think of something that's going to be high volume or would have some sort of like high hours and savings that might be able to come out. The time saving isn't really as big of a thing for this, but just something that you're going to have a lot of volume that would go through. So if it was to run like once a week and it only occurs once, not really as valuable as something that might run every single day, maybe a couple dozen times a day, right? So just think about what that use case could be where you have that high volume of transactions that are happening. Something that's very repeatable. It's the same steps over and over and over again. This could be something such as filling in a form, taking data, putting into from one system into another, anything like that that's very repetitive. A good place to look for all this is just look at things that you do every single day, right? Whether it be as part of your personal life, your work life, your school life, just something that you have to do each day where it requires, even if it's only like 5 minutes a day, that you have to go and spend doing this thing. You could build a bot that might be able to go and perform that for you with the click of a button, right? And then when you're looking at what you can do with it, with the use case, if you're not sure, can I do this thing, or can the UiPath or the RPA product do this thing? Really best thing to do is just do a quick search for it, like do UiPath. I want to grab a schedule off of website, or I want to get information off of website, something like that. And it'll come back and it'll tell you how you can do that and what products will be relevant to you. If you want to read something, we had some questions earlier around like PDF documents. So if you wanted to be able to read a PDF document, there's the UiPath document understanding product that can help with that. So this is something just to think about what products you're going to want to have involved. Please feel free when you come to the office hours. If you have a question, you're not sure, what product might be best suited for something, come with those questions, ask. Happy to help with answering some of those, giving you any sort of feedback and direction that you might be able to use. And the other thing to think about is just understanding like the times that's available to you, right? We're kicking this off, so you're gonna have it's about 2 weeks to get the solution done. So just think of what you can get accomplished during that time. As well, understanding you're probably gonna have to go through and learn the tool a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit slow for the first couple days, so don't try to make this big grand scheme of a solution. Think of something fairly straightforward and simple that you can get done in the time that's allotted for this. And if you wanted any ideas of like some use cases that may be out there, you can go to the link that's on here, the community site. There's example problems that are up there. There's solutions that other people have done for other hackathons in the past. So there's we also have prompts that are provided. You'll see those on the hackathon site that'll showcase, here's some ideas of areas that you can look at. So feel free to look at those, select something maybe out of that list, or come up with your own.
Great.
Sebastian?
Yeah, thanks, Luis. ¿Cómo identificar un buen caso de uso para Hackathon? Se buscan casos de uso que tengan buen volumen, que probablemente que se repitan varias veces al día, que ahorre un gran número de tiempo. Probablemente si es una actividad que solo ocurre una vez al mes, tal vez no sea el mejor de los casos, porque no va a tener el impacto que andamos buscando. También buscamos cosas que sean altamente repetitivas y que se puedan automatizar. Puede ser algo de la vida personal o algo de la vida profesional, como lo vimos en las temáticas que vamos a estar evaluando. Si tienen dudas sobre cómo resolver algo en particular y cuál producto de UiPath utilizar, vengan a los Office Hours, ahí les vamos a ayudar a resolver este tipo de preguntas. Por ahí al principio del chat preguntaban, hey, quiero leer información de un PDF. Bueno, tal vez Document Understanding es un producto que les puede ayudar a ese tipo para ese tipo de casos de uso. Eh, y sí, básicamente, ¿qué buscamos en identificar el use case? Son aquellas ideas que tengan un alto impacto y ojalá que tengan un volumen bastante amplio.
Great, thank you.
All right. And then yeah, so some tips for presenting your for your presentation deck and the video. Just as you're going through, make sure it's kind of structured, right? It makes it easier to be able to look at everything, understand everything that's going on. So start of your presentation should just really kind of showcase, here's the problem statement. This is the issue that you're trying to resolve, what your automation is really about. Talk about the solution. So here's the proposed approach that you took to be able to solve this. Note any of the technologies or the UiPath products that you used as well as part of this solution so that we understand, which ones are being used in there. We can see how they're working within the solution. And then any of the results or impacts that come from this. So now that you've built this out, what was the value of being able to do this? It saved you 5 minutes a day, or it made the data that you're managing more accurate because now there's not, people accidentally making mistakes when they're typing data in. Something along those lines, what that impact actually is, whether it be to yourself, to your organization, or even, to society in some way as a whole. In terms of the solution architecture, we would really like to be able to see this in here. You don't have to have it in, but it is something that would be good to showcase. This is really just around showcasing, how your data, how the automation actually works, from the data that comes in, what you're doing with it, and understanding any transformations they might be performing on the data, where it's flowing into in terms of the applications that you're processing it through. If you want to use some, images, feel free to do that. You can do a process flow, whatever makes it easier, just to really be able to put something up on screen and say, here's how my process works. Here's my decision points. So it's easy to understand. And then finally, having that demo in there. So some sort of presentable prototype or demo that shows the process being in use. You can provide that as a video showing the process running, having you talking over it and explaining what's going on. That's a perfect way to be able to put it in there. So just try to be able to effectively communicate what your solution actually is, what its purpose is, and all the different components that you use throughout it.
Y básicamente tips de cómo hacer la presentación y el video es: tengan muy bien definido cuál es el problema que están tratando de solucionar y también detallen la solución para este problema. Mencionen cuáles son las tecnologías de UiPath que están utilizando y hagan hincapié en cuáles son los resultados y el impacto de esta solución. La solución, la arquitectura de la solución o tener un diagrama de flujo, eso ayuda a entender un poquito cómo es que las tecnologías complementan y tratan de solucionar el problema que ustedes identificaron. Y hagan por favor un demo dentro del video, inclúyanlo de cómo es que el robot va a ejecutar las tareas y si pueden ponerlo en ejecución para ver el robot trabajando mejor.
Great,
Yep.
thanks.
Do you want me to take this, Diana, or do you?
Sure, you can.
Yeah, so next steps. We've talked about this a few times throughout the conversation today, but there are some self-learning options out there for you guys to be able to get a little bit more familiar with this. We do have a link on here as well, and we'll put that in the chat. That goes to the UiPath forum, where they actually submit a lot of use cases for these different hackathons. So you can actually go there and see what other people have done. It helps to get you a little bit more information about kind of what they did. In a lot of cases, you can download the workflows that they've done, so you can actually see how they perform some of the tasks in there. sign up for your UiPath community instance that Priya was showing before. So this lets you get access to the different products and solutions that UiPath offers. And then the UiPath Academy, a lot of people, it sounds like, already have started to sign up for it. You can go in there. There's a number of free courses on there. We've got a couple starter ones in here just to kind of get you going. Again, we'll put those links in the chat for you as well. But in the Academy, you can basically get access to training for any of the UiPath products. So if you just need to know how it works, what its purpose is, they'll be able to walk you through that. Aside from that, we do ask, of course, go on to the Hackathon site, make sure that you register on there. If you're not registered on there, we're not going to be able to go through and judge your solution. Go ahead and kind of get started on your project. You can start at any point. You can start today if you want. And if there's any questions that anyone has, I know in chat we had a couple people mentioning that they haven't gotten responses from any of their teammates yet that they were assigned to. So if you haven't gotten a response, if you want to be able to post on there and just say, hey, my team hasn't responded, does anyone else want to team up? You can all post up on there so that you can find out who's available and team up with each other. And if you have any other questions as well that come out throughout this, please feel free to post on there. We'll come in and we will answer those for you. We'll also be available, of course, on those office hour sessions on August 29th, September 5th, and September 6th that you guys can dial into and ask any of the questions that you might have then.
Great. And I put this recording URL in the chat. If you come tomorrow, you can get this too, but this presentation will be also available when you go to get your recording, so you can look through and find these URLs.
Muy importante, este link que ya compartimos anteriormente, ténganlo disponible porque ahí va a estar el recording de la sesión del día de hoy junto con la presentación también. Entonces ahí podrán descargar la presentación y ver todos los links que se mostraron en pantalla el día de hoy.
Yeah, and I think that was it. So I think it'd be good. Louis, I don't know if you want us to run through the site, the hackathon site itself.
Yeah, we could do that. Let me just bring it up here.
And then I think we should also just find out if anybody has started their projects or where they are.
That is not the right site.
I think it's the first link in chat.
Yeah, that'll actually be easier for me to go to than trying to get to it through all my links. There we go. Okay, let me share my screen.
So Jose, do you want to do a check-in with everybody real quick just to see like where they are in their progress? There, no.
Oh, okay. It just may not be there right
Yeah.
now. So yeah, so let's maybe just go quickly through here. So anyone that hasn't registered yet, please come to the site here and register. We'll put the link in one more time into chat as well, just so it's all at the bottom for you guys. This goes through and talks about everything with the hackathon. So when you do come to the site, you will see the registration for the event. Please go in and register. You have until August 31st to get registered for the hackathon. And understanding, like if you guys register for it and at some point, you decide down the road that maybe you don't have the time, you don't want to, that's perfectly okay. We just want to make sure that you have the opportunity. So go on there and register just so you're at least able to attend it and take part in if you're able to. The site will also goes through a little bit of the event. So it talks about, what this is all about. We talk about the categories as well, which we've gone through here. So showcasing Costa Rica, nationwide community problem solving, student life, and then our BOES category around showcasing AI technology. So this just gives you some details about that. There are some also examples on here for each of the categories. So, you know, as an example, showcasing Costa Rica, a problem statement could be that tourists would like to plan a trip to Costa Rica and they would love to help making their planning process a bit shorter. So there's a solution idea on here that you could go through of here's things that you could look up based on, you know, where they're going, what their preferences are, trips that are within, you know, X amount of hours or days of them. So it's just something that you could then from that understand, okay, well, you could go check, you know, various different sites for tourism to get some of that information back and then present it to them. So there's a couple examples for each of the categories on here that you could come in here and use just as sort of a starting point. You don't have to use these. They're just examples. If you have an idea for yourself, for your own thing, please feel free to use that as well. If you want a little bit more information on some of the pieces for UiPath, so there is a link in here to the platform itself, the document center. So basically, if you have any sort of question about how does an activity work, how does a product within UiPath work, this document center will showcase all of that information for you. You can come in here, you can search. It has everything for all the different products in here that you can find. Additionally, if you do any sort of Google search, just look for like UiPath plus whatever the thing is that you're looking for. It will find it for you and likely take you to the document center or to the UiPath forums where somebody's probably answered that question already. One of the things that has been mentioned a couple times is marketplace components. Actually, this isn't even a link, Diana, right now. Maybe we want to update that, but there is a UiPath marketplace. So if you do end up having something that you want to see if there's an already existing product or piece that might help you with something like that, the UiPath marketplace, so marketplace.uipath.com, you can come here and you can look up almost any sort of piece that you might want. So if you need something, let's say as an example around Excel, I know UiPath has Excel out of the box. There are some additional extensions that a number of different people have built that you might be able to take advantage of and use. So these might extend upon the existing ones that are already in there. Or if there's something else that you're working with, maybe you're working with ServiceNow, for an example. There's a ServiceNow package in here that gives you activities. So like this one that UiPath built in hand with ServiceNow, it comes with 90 different activities that you can add in and take advantage of. So these are just some things that you can come in here and see what already exists in here. I think Greenlight, we even have our own in here for a couple different ones that we built and provided out there as well. So you can come in here, take a look, see what's there that might be useful to you, and get your add those into your process. I'll just pause there for a quick second. Jose or Sebastian, I don't know if you guys want to just maybe summarize a little bit of that.
Yeah. Básicamente, ¿verdad? En el link vamos a poder encontrar toda la información sobre el hackathon, las temáticas que estuvimos revisando, van a poder ver los recordings, pero muy importante, por favor, regístrense para el evento, porque esto les va a permitir recibir las notificaciones de las sesiones que vamos a estar haciendo. Las categorías, ahí las pueden encontrar con mayor descripción de cuál es exactamente lo que estamos buscando en cada una de ellos, inclusive un ejemplo de lo que otros equipos han podido hacer. Muy importante, acuérdense de la categoría de bonus AI, esto tiene una mención especial si utilizan algún tipo de las capacidades de inteligencia artificial. Y aquí pueden ver unos ejemplos de las soluciones y de los problemas que pueden ser buenos candidatos para solucionarse. Yeah, can you scroll down a little bit, Luz? Thank you. Aquí vienen como los guidelines del hackathon y links importantes con las fechas también para que lo tengan en cuenta. Los premios se encuentran en la parte de abajo. Yep, can you scroll down a little bit more? Sí, estos son los premios que mencionamos en la presentación y las fechas muy importantes para que lo tengan en cuenta. Básicamente, este link deberían guardarlo en sus favoritos para que lo tengan a mano y sepa cuál van a ser los diferentes recursos y criterios y fechas que tienen que utilizar para el evento. Creo que, let me see, I think we have a question in the chat.
Yes, that's how to use the form. We can touch on that after.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so and I'll just touch base on a couple items here that Sebastian went through. So this just does kind of go through some of the key pieces about who can participate. So individuals, you can come in as by yourself or with a team. Any student or IT professional can take part in this. We do require at least one team member be in Costa Rica. They'll need to be in San Jose for the finalist if you are selected. So you'll want to make sure that somebody's there on that chance that you guys are selected for that finalist presentation.
Hey, Lewis, at this point, I'm just seeing a blank screen. I
Oh,
don't know if anybody else is.
I'm not. I'm
Oh,
able to see
okay.
the screen.
it's okay. So you're still okay. So it's just on Diana's side. Okay, I'll keep going then, Diana.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, perfect. If you need to see any of the rules and regulations, they are listed in here. We have the full T's and C's here, so you can just review kind of what this looks like. In terms of the pricing, we've got those listed in here. We've talked about this a few times of the different pricing for the different groups. And then just the important dates that to remember, right? So we're right now doing our training sessions. So today, August 25th, there's a second one tomorrow. It's just going to be a repeat of today. September 7th will be the last day for you to be able to submit any of your solutions. The 14th is when we will notify the finalists. And then September 23rd will be when we're actually doing the in-person presentation of those finalists. In between the tomorrow, Saturday, and September 7th, there are 3 days that will be available for the office hours. So that's going to be September 29th, August 29th, September 5th, and September 6th. Those links will be, we should have those links in here. But they're in the chat as well. So we'll make sure to post those one more time, just so everyone has them there. So please feel free to sign up for those and come to them. Our judgment criteria that we've already gone through is listed on here. So if you need to refer to this, and then just in terms of the submission guidelines, this goes through, how to submit it to the UiPath forum, the presentation template that you can download off of here as well. So this will be a PowerPoint template. If you want to be able to submit the PDD, this walks through a download for a task capture that you can use to create your process definition document. And then one big thing just to really make sure that, again, is all these pieces need to be provided in a zip file. Please make sure to name them appropriately. The name is listed in here as well. So your team name, Costa Rica RPA and a Hackathon, whatever your project name is. And then make sure that download link is something that's publicly accessible. So you can put this into a Google Drive, or if you have a Dropbox or something, put it in there when you go to submit your project, which will open up a Microsoft form. So I'll go there now. So when you're ready to submit, this walks through all the information that you need to go through and submit. So it's just got some information about your team and everything that you're submitting about. Part of this is that you are going to provide that link to that package. So make sure that is available to us. If we cannot download that, we will not be able to look at the files and therefore be able to judge them. So please make sure it's somewhere that is publicly available to us. You can, like I said, you can put it in a Dropbox, you can put it in Google Drive, you can even upload it onto the UiPath forum site, and we'll be able to grab it from there as well. And this form is the last piece. So once you're ready to go, you're going to come in here. There's about 10 questions. You're going to come through and submit. It just asks, again, some name and information about your team, your project, what category you're selecting. I will add the bonus category in there. I just realized I forgot to put it on. I will add that right away. And then just, some information about what products you ended up using. And then just let us know a little bit about what, did you accomplish what you set it to go do? Is this, what your process actually is for? All right. I think that's everything there. So to answer the question in terms of the forum, So let me actually go over there. So I'm on here right now. So when you come to the form, so form.uipath.com, you will need to register. So I'm signed in right now, but if you're not, you'll have a registration button. Just make sure you set up and register. You'll be able to access the Hackathon site from this point. And then all you have to end up doing is you're going to see a messages piece. I may see a little bit more than you guys, just being a minute here, but you'll be able to click on message, and you can submit anything you have on here. So if you have a question, put that question here. You can explain it a little bit more. If there's any other details you want to add on to this, please feel free. If you want to put in the use cases here, you can do that as well. So the use cases will actually go to a different section. So use the Costa Rica Hackathon for any questions you have. If or when you want to submit the actual use case to the forum, come to this link, which I've put into, sorry, I'm in the middle of typing the message for it. So this will be in chat as well for you. So you can come in here and you can actually submit your use case. So you'd create a new topic. You just note then the information about your use case, name it appropriately, set some basic information in here. Again, it's about the products you use, what your use case is for. You'll be able to upload your files in here, and then you submit that on here, and you'll be able to provide that as link for the submission as well. But yeah, otherwise using the form is fairly straightforward. And if you just wanted to be able to use it to look up any actual information or ask questions, you can just come here. You can do a search on here for anything that you might have. Okay.
Louis, I have a question.
Yeah.
Sure. During the presentation, I saw some comments in the chat box related with the people that had problem to connect with the partners of the group. We participate in the hackathon. So I was wondering if we can use the forum in order to reorganize the groups, because it happened to me. We have 2 members. It's not reported in this moment. So my concern is how to reorganize the groups, because some persons had not reported in this moment.
Yeah. So yeah, this came up for people that have reached out. They've been added to teams and they haven't gotten any responses yet. So I do see a couple messages in here as well that people can't post their messages yet. That we have to add you guys on here. So we've got a list of everyone's emails. We just need to go through and add everyone. So we will have to go through and do that. Once you're registered, we should be able to get that put on here as well. But yeah, what you can do is you can come in here, you can create a message and just say, hey, here's my name, here's my email. I was part of a team. I haven't gotten a response. I'd like to, is anyone looking for another team member, or do you want to create a team? So someone can post in here, and then you can just kind of group up with each other. So if there's 2 or 3 people that have posted, hey, they don't have a team, then they'll have each other's information from their posts on here. They can link up and then they can create the team that way.
Louis, I think some users, including myself, I'm not able to post messages on the forum.
Yeah, I believe we need to. Oh, Sebastian, you should be able to. Do you not have the message button?
Could be that I'm a different profile. Let me check.
It might be that. I think yeah. Otherwise, what we need to do, we need to add users to this group. So we're going to get everyone's email address. Please, when you sign up on the forum, use the same email address that you signed up with the hackathon. We've got a list of everyone's information, so we're going to go through and we will add them all in here. Those will get done between today and tomorrow, so that you'll be able to come in here and post. Diane, is there anything else we wanted to go over?
You're muted, Diana.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I would just ask people how they're feeling, if they've started their projects, kind of where they are now, so we just get a sense of kind of where people are. You want to ask that, Sebastian?
Yes. ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Alguno tiene una duda? No sé si alguno ya empezó sus proyectos.
Sebastián, estoy tratando de hacer el login con la página del foro,
Ujú.
pero me está diciendo, welcome, let's create your account. Y al final hay un botón que dice create new forum account. Sorry.
Ujú.
Ya leí bien, dice crear una cuenta de forum. Pensé que era crear un forum.
Ah, sí, la
Ok,
cuenta.
ok, perfecto. Entonces, ya estoy ahí visible y puedo ver las personas que están en el foro, pero no
Genial.
aparece el botón de agregar como comentarios.
Sí, Luis, it seems like they are not still be able to post a message on the forum.
Right, so we have to get the addresses. Can you let them know from the hackathon? They have to use the same email addresses. And then Lewis said he'd take those and make sure they're set up by tomorrow.
Okay.
Da-
Sí,
Diana,
Luis, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Diana, I used my email address that I sent to the hackathon, so I guess it could be registered right now. So my concern is that there is no any button to send any message to the forum. So I
Right. So
guess
yeah. So what we'll need to do, we need to do from our side is we're going to take all the emails from everyone that's come through the training today.
yeah.
We're going to take their emails, and we're going to go through and put them into that the forum site. So once that's done, you'll be able to actually post the messages. So it should be done by the end of day today. That you'll be able to.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Yep. And any questions from anybody else? Did you guys get all the information you needed today?
Sí, preguntas. ¿Alguien más tiene alguna duda?
Sebastián, de mi parte todo está bien. Everything is completely clear. I'm happy to start this project.
Great.
Awesome.
Anybody else? Okay, we are looking forward. Again, you can attend the session again tomorrow if you wish. But make sure you copy everything in the chat. That's very important. So I think that's it, Sebastian, if you want to repeat that, and then I think we can close for today.
Sí, recuerden guardar los links del que están en el chat, muy importantes, hacer el registro y que mañana tenemos otra sesión para los que no nos pudieran acompañar. Va a ser el mismo contenido, entonces si ya estuvieron hoy no es necesario que se conecten mañana, pero si hay alguien que faltó, por favor les dejan saber. Muchas gracias a todos y que tengan muy, muy bonito día.
Sebastián, tengo una última pregunta. ¿Cómo copio aquí el texto del chatbox? ¿Hay alguna forma de hacer un copy-paste?
Yeah,
En el chat de Zoom.
they're gonna need to copy paste itself. I won't have access to it after this session is closed.
Let me to copy that because I guess if you close the session, we will lose all the messages. So I
Sí,
will copy that.
tenés que guardarlo en algún notepad o algo así de tu lado.
Okay, let me just hold on 1 second, please.
Mhm.
All right, it's done. Thank you so much. Have a
Yeah.
great time.
Thanks.
Have a good one, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.